Hello everyone, Omni-sensei here with What If I Was Reborn as Loki in Marvel, Part 2. If you enjoy this content, please smash the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the original story linked in the description. I hope you enjoy listening to it.
Moving at human speeds, I clash fists with one of the people at Kunlun. We go at it for a few minutes with me using only a moderate amount of my skills, since I like playing with my opponents. Finally having enough, I channel chi through my hands and hit one of his pressure points. Satisfaction fills me with the knowledge that even when I limit myself to their level, I can easily beat them. Good job, Feng. Your skills are improving at a phenomenal rate. An old, wrinkled, Asian-looking Mun congratulates me. I bow as the custom dictates. It is all thanks to your tutelage, teacher. No need to be humble all the time, disciple. You need to take pride in your abilities. He says. Get in a fighting position, I will be your next opponent. Getting in the position, we begin to channel chi to our hands. We engage immediately and all the shots he sends me get blocked. I don't want to immediately beat him since it is not fun and I am not learning if I do it. We fight for a minute more before I decide to end it and feign a hit to his head before hitting him in the chest, sending him flying. Quite impressive since I am only using the strength of humans. Chi is truly a great thing. I sit down and watch as the others train. It has only been a few months since I joined this place and took the identity of one of the people. My time here has been relaxing. Of course, I made sure to periodically visit Elsa since she is swelling with my child and Hela since she is quite troublesome if left alone. I am surprised Hela and Jormungandr haven't gotten on each other's nerves enough that they would decide to fight to the death or something equally stupid. Elsa POV, letting out a painful grunt as I lay on the bed, ready to give birth any hour now. I broke my water when I was still on the throne. Letting out another painful grunt, I somewhat question my decision to let Loki impregnate me since the pain I am experiencing is downright awful. Thinking about Loki, I wonder why he isn't here at the moment. Since Loki has always been the one who knows everything, I figured he would know I am about to give birth. Saying in a strained voice. Inform Loki that I am ready and if he isn't here in the next hour, I will forbid him from sleeping with me for an entire year. I informed the wet nurse. Breathing in and out to focus on something other than the pain. I almost don't notice something holding my hand. I squeeze it hard to get myself some comfort. Don't worry, you will be fine, darling. A spell waves over me and all the pain disappears. Letting out a sigh of relief, I look at my lover and father of my future child. His face lacks the cocky smirk I have come to love, replaced by a concerned look. Not sleeping with me for a year, I hear. We both know you would be the first one to dive into my arms. He says to lighten the mood. Please, I am not that dependent on you and not so debauched that I can't go a year without you. I say. Just the previous pain is enough to convince me to stop being intimate as a whole. Let's calm down here. It's not my fault you don't want people to cast spells on you to stop the pain because you are afraid of them hurting the babies. It just goes to show how much you trust me. I feel so touched. He says before he personally starts the process of helping me give birth. It reminds me of the story he told me about him helping people give birth just so that he would be able to help Jormungandr's mother himself since he doesn't trust anyone else with important tasks. That is why I trust him with this since his superiority complex won't allow someone to be better at helping me. Loki POV, lifting my new daughter with the hands Elsa tried to crush earlier. I look at the cutie who will have everyone around her finger in the future, and I hand her to her exhausted mother. She has my green eyes and Elsa's hair color as well as elf ears. Elsa, my new baby, fortunately isn't blue since I pulled an improved Michael Jackson by permanently changing my Jotun look from blue. Now I just have to figure out the living arrangement since I doubt Elsa would just allow her child to permanently live with me and although I can force her, it wouldn't be worth it. I sigh before making sure both of them are fine before teleporting to Perfectum. What awaits me is a barely naked Hela sleeping in my bed. I smile deviously before heading forward and planting kisses on her back. She lets out light moans at the sensation of my lips on her skin. She groggily opens her eyes and changes positions so she is lying on her back. We spend a few more hours in bed before I head back to Alfheim, already having relieved a lot of stress due to Hela. I feel better. The past 6 years since Elsa was born have been peaceful. Aside from the occasional problem of her being disobedient, which is normal for children, so I can't really complain. My son Jormungandr has been relegated to the position of a babysitter. Unfortunately, my little icicle has him wrapped around the finger, so I don't trust him not to spoil her too much. I am interrupted from my musings by a little white-haired girl opening my door and running towards me before settling on my lap. "Papa, look what brother taught me," Elsa says before creating a golem snowman. I gained a proud smile at her impressive display for a 6-year-old. I remember the first time Jormungandr beat Thor in a spar, and I felt the same pride I do now. My little icicle is so cute and talented, I say before peppering her cheeks with kisses as she giggles uncontrollably. Don't forget to show your mother when you go back home. I am sure she will be proud. I have decided to let Elsa live mostly with Elsa, since not only can I only handle a limited amount of fluff, but my home would be lonely for a child. Aunt Hela said I was so cool and that I am ready to be taught how to conjure blades next and how to kill my enemies afterwards. She cheerfully says. I do a double take at her words. Of course, Hela would say something like that. I thought, honey, just make sure you don't tell mommy. She will worry needlessly. I say, I really don't want to sleep on the couch because I allowed our daughter to be taught dangerous things. What surprised me was that Hela took a liking to Elsa. I expected apathy at best, since Elsa is the daughter of her lover from another woman. Since we are technically siblings, I believe she sees her as a niece. I spent the rest of the day with Elsa before sending her off to bed. I head to the control room and enter the coordinates of the Andromeda Galaxy at the eclipsing binary star M31VJ00443799 plus 4129236. I always wanted an Infinity Stone. I could have gone after the Space Stone, but not only would it massively change the future. Earth needs a group to defend itself, otherwise I would have to do it personally, plus the Space Stone I feel is the weakest stone. I can already do a lot of its functions with magic. Personally, the Reality Stone is what I desire, but finding it would be difficult since there is no convergence to just open a portal and give it to me. Thor's human pet was extremely lucky in the movie. It almost upsets me to think they just gave my favorite stone away. We will arrive at the destination in a week and a few days if all goes accordingly. Oracle says. I nod at her words. I have never been to the planet Morag, so I can't just teleport. Plus, even if I could, I am not in a hurry. The time leading to my arrival on the planet is spent doing recreational activities and spending time with my children and Hela. Sir, we have arrived. Oracle informs me. I sneak out of the bed without waking the devious child who decided to sneak into my bed last night. I kiss Elsa on the forehead before teleporting to Jormungandr. Yo buddy, I have a fun activity we can partake in. I say. Is this fun activity the reason we're in the middle of nowhere? He says with a drawl. Nowheres is at M3RD17H17211 plus 2121224. This is Morag. I say jokingly. He sighs at my dad jokes. Truly the best thing about becoming a father, getting the privilege to say lame things. Fine, I will join. Just please stop saying such cringing things. He says, and I just nod my head. I begin to tell him what it is we are looking for. To say he is excited would be an understatement. Having Jormungandr with me would make this so much easier since he is a natural at moving in the water. From what I know of the area, the water level only lowers every 300 years, so in order to access the temple that houses the Infinity Stone, I have to take a long swim. I equip my hoverboard and wait for a shrunken snake to get on my shoulder before heading into the planet's atmosphere. When we finally reached water level, I didn't stop and proceeded to fly into the water. Jormungandr removes himself from my shoulder and begins to grow to his full size. Fortunately, I have a protective dome to stop the water from irritating me and making combat awkward if the need arises. We aren't in the water a minute before I feel all sorts of presences watching us. I am sure they would have attacked already if it wasn't for the giant serpent intimidating them. We just ignore them before deciding to split up and search on our own. Sure, this way they will attack me since their deterrent is away from me, but they are fools if they think I am the weaker piece. As soon as my snake son moves away, I am surrounded by a variety of aquatic creatures. Energy blasts promptly fly around, and I watch as the ones with weak defenses instantly perish, and seeing that there are still some alive, I throw out Sortum in the form of a glaive to finish the job. If that is the best you have, then you have surely overestimated your capabilities. I taunt and observe as a few shark-like creatures angrily look at me. Sure, I can't physically communicate with them, but magic can get intent through. The result of my magical taunt is them growling at me. Gonna cry. Before they can react, I fly towards the nearest shark and smash my fist through his mouth with chi. The result ends with my fist coming out of its head along with its entrails. The rest, thinking I am distracted, immediately try and eliminate me. Their sneak attack fails and I shoot vibranium arrows at unnatural speeds with my wrist bow at them. I call back my arrows and get ready to move forward, but I am stopped by a giant shark, around the length of Jormungandr, appearing. I shoot a few torpedoes from my wrist bow and I am pleasantly surprised to see it barely damaging it. A smile appears on my face, one hardly anyone knows because the people I usually show it to don't live to tell any tales. Moving at the speed of sound, I smash the shark with Swordom in the form of a war hammer. The giant shark gets sent flying back because of the impact. Teleporting behind where it would be landing, I hit him again to send him flying, but he stops midway. It growls in rage at me, and if I were less of a rascal, I would not be trying to encourage his rage even further, but just like Thor was born to be mighty, I was born to be a metaphorical scoundrel. You look a bit down, mate. Maybe I have to wait for Lava Girl to show up for you so that you would offer a better challenge. I mock while using a spell to be able to speak his language so that he can understand my taunt. Although he doesn't get my reference, he still becomes angrier. It swims forwards at frightening speeds for someone so large. He headbutts me and I am sent flying through the water. I crash into a rock, breaking it upon impact. All of that for just a drop of blood. I say before wiping the drop of my blood that came out of my nose. I guess this is going to be more fun than I thought. Flying towards it, I immediately begin hitting it with my fists, causing shockwaves to form because of the power of the blows. It tries to counterattack, but since I am so small compared to it, I can easily dodge. Swordom flies towards me, turning into a gauntlet before placing itself on my hand. The shark tries to headbutt me again, but its head meets my gauntlet and I can hear cracks before it gets sent flying again. My attack opened his head and I can see the insides. Fortunately for him, it doesn't look as if his brain was in his head, or else he would be brain dead right now. It growls and I have to use magic to stop the sound from reaching me so that I don't get ear damage. Superhuman hearing is really shitty when fighting loud bastards. It opens its mouth and does something disgusting. Smaller sharks begin forming in its head before coming out of its mouth. Did you really have to give birth in front of me? And here I was thinking you were a male. I thought delivering babies was already disgusting, but you just had to decide to show me it could be worse. I say. The several smaller sharks immediately began attacking me and I just used water magic to slice them as fast as I could since their speed is nothing to joke about. A few of them get a chance to strike me. I just grunt at the tiny bit of pain as one bites my arms before breathing out green fire, completely disintegrating it. The giant shark decided to use my moment of distraction to swallow me. The inside of his maw was frankly not a pleasant sight, but since it is more vulnerable than his scales, I allowed myself to be swallowed. The beast decided to try and eat me, but when it decided to allow me to enter its mouth, it had already decided its fate. This is the perfect time to test out one of my spells, I thought before feeling my skin starting to heat up as the beast began chewing me. A massive blast enveloped me and began damaging the beast from the inside before the shark began disintegrating. Swimming out of the beast while regenerating my wounds the shark's teeth did. I look back at the dead beast. Only a bit of its flesh is floating around. Truly a wonderful spell. The kamikaze of the Japanese had quite an effective method of attack. I am not suicidal, so I had to incorporate intangibility when I created the spell. That is why I am not damaged from the spell. Jormungandr, I hope you have any clues on where to go. I smell like fish guts and I really just want to go home to clean myself. I say over the telekinetic bond one have with my son. I believe so. I found the temple you mentioned, but there are a lot of creatures protecting it. Permission to engage, Father. He replies. Permission granted, and here is some advice. Don't go into any of their mouths and explode yourself. It's not very hygienic, trust me. I reply and I can feel his confusion over the link, but I don't explain myself. I use the mental link to warp towards his location and I disappear and appear before what I would classify as an army. Thousands of aquatic creatures standing ready to defend their home. You know, when you said there are a lot of creatures defending this place, I thought it would be like 50 or something. I whisper to myself in disbelief. After this is done, I have to re-educate my child on the necessity of giving proper intel. A lot my butt, I thought. I can only hope little Elsa doesn't inherit my rascalness that Jormungandr, unfortunately, picked up. I see Jormungandr already engaging them, swimming through them and showing the superiority that is my genes. Whenever he attacks, tens of creatures die in barely a second. He shoots his toxic breath and immediately more than 100 of the creatures die. The big creatures begin attacking him so that he doesn't kill all of their fodder. I let him deal with his playmates before feeling my eyes heat up. Lasers came out of my eyes and I began culling them by the tens every second. Some try to sneak up from behind me, but they fall as well. A pufferfish moves towards me, and I shoot my laser vision towards it, but before it can reach me, it explodes. I see in the back a humanoid fish with the ability to teleport, and it decides to teleport more pufferfish towards me that immediately explode. I just disconnect myself from this dimensional connection, meaning I go intangible and allow the explosives to be wasted. What the hell? You can't just so brazenly steal my move. You know I was feeling indifferent towards you at most, but now I am really irritated by you freaks. I say before summoning the Omnitrix. Handle this, you schmucks. The Omnitrix began turning into a sea dragon and began materializing more loyal aquatic creatures for me. Tens of really powerful creatures on my side. Get them, boys. My sides collide with the enemies. Even though they have superior numbers, quality over quantity usually wins in a situation like this if I am involved. Watching my side begin to slowly overwhelm the enemy, every 5 seconds hundreds of the fodder on the other side are eliminated. If I wasn't underwater, I would probably conjure a chair and popcorn while enjoying the show, but I am not that lucky. A kraken from the other side joins, and I am surprised to see that it can actually handle the Omnitrix's creatures. Most of the Omnitrix's creatures I genetically modified to be a bit better than they would usually be, so that is why I am surprised. But then again, the shark I blew up was also quite strong. Its tentacles try to block my minions from exterminating their weaker forces. I already spent more time on this planet than I wanted, so I immediately go forward and smash the kraken with Swordom, sending it flying through the water. Now that the kraken isn't defending the temple, I am sure my minions can make short work of the rest. It tries to get aggressive with its tentacles, but I transform Swordom into a blade, and with a controlling enchantment, I easily command it to slice the tentacles. A magical URU blade is something that can get past even my defense, so it isn't a surprise to see it losing its tentacles. The shriek and growls of rage force me to defend my ears again. This method of attack is far more effective than my fight with the shark since I used a blunt weapon then. I wanted to have my fun then, that is why I refrained from using a blade that can cut through almost anything. Now I just want that purple stone, so I want to make quick work of the beast. The kraken has more than one heart, so I command my blade to quickly fly through them, ending the fight. Its guts and blood flying about make for quite the gory sight. In the end, my fight with the creature only took a few minutes. My minions and son used the time well to finish the rest off. I summon the Omnitrix back and my minions disappear into the watch. I am glad I upgraded the Omnitrix. I don't really have much use for it since I am already pretty strong and magic makes my skill set quite diverse. I contemplated creating another Vilgax or lending it to one of my children down the road before getting the idea to make it my mobile army. It can't create hundreds of powerful people yet, but in the future, it is definitely possible. I swam towards Jormungandr, who is just a few meters away from the temple. Nice move, father. I am surprised that you can make something overpowered even more overpowered. He replies. It was a pain to implement, so I am glad that it is so useful. To think it is only in the beta version. Sometimes I surprise myself with the things I can create. I can't believe I offered you the thing and you had the balls to deny. I say, any chance I can take back my decision? He asks. I wanted to be able to learn how to transform into different things by myself without running to father for help. I can see where you're coming from. And no, you had your chance, now I am keeping it. Damn. Tough luck. I guess we should finish this mission. Maybe I will take some time to study science more to be able to create my own gadget after this mission is done. Jormungandr shrinks to my length before we begin swimming into the temple. On the way there we encountered a few of the leftover creatures who decided to attack us, but with Jormungandr's toxic magic and strength and me and my personal weapon, we made quick work of them before reaching the room housing the orb containing the Infinity Stone. When we entered, we saw that the orb was open and the Power Stone was leaking. No wonder these creatures are so strong. Years of being subjected to the radiation of this purple gem must be doing wonders to them. Jormungandr says. To think I still work out to stop my physique from deteriorating, and these schmucks just have free get out of the gym cards. I replied. Life is so unfair. I carefully swim to the orb, guard up in case the stone is volatile. I am thankful that I didn't have to teleport to avoid an explosion. I closed the orb and held it in my hand. To think something so small can hold something so powerful is simply inconceivable. I guess we are done, Jormungandr says. Not yet, I say. I open the orb again and grab the stone in my hand. I am not surprised that I can handle the stone with my bare hand, but I am certainly pleased. I open a portal and throw Jormungandr in, sending him back to Perfectum. I transform Swordom into a gauntlet with a tiny hole in it and insert the power stone in it. I smash the gauntlet into the ground as hard as I can before teleporting to Perfectum myself. I look from the surface of my artificial planet as purple lines begin forming on the planet. This goes on for a minute before the planet explodes. Ha 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 ha. I laugh like a bad villain. Most likely not looking very sane to Jormungandr, who is next to me. I really just wanted to know what the damage would be, and I am not disappointed. So you blew up a planet. He states in disbelief. Yep, not bad for my latest toy. It certainly helps that the explosion removed evidence of us being here. I am surprised that I am sane after being raised by you. He says, shaking his head. Good night, Father. I think I am going to bed, and I will probably find a therapist in the morning to see if I am okay, since insane people usually don't know when they are insane. I suggest you do the same. Cheeky little brat. Don't worry, this was just a calculated move and my mental faculties are more than okay. I say before I decide to go to my house and get in a bath. Before I can reach my desired location, I am assaulted by my little girl. I open my arms and watch as she dives in them. I close my arms around her. Papa, that was so cool. The planet was purple before going kaboom. She babbles. I thought she would still be asleep. Yeah, did you like it? I created the show just for you. Don't forget to not tell your mother, or else she will not let me show more of these shows to you. She nods into my shoulder and relaxes in my embrace for a second. Papa, you stink. She says as her nose scrunches up. I make a faux heartbroken expression. Why are all my children so mean? It is almost like I am a bad father. Papa is the best. Don't worry, the bath will make everything better, and then you will be better in the smelling area too. She says as I let myself be led to the bathroom. You better hurry back to bed, or else you will have extra vegetables in your dinner tonight. She gains a frightened expression at that before running off. I just chuckle at my icicle before entering the bath to get rid of all that filth. Using the power stone to destroy Morag left me suffering a few repercussions. I wasn't bedridden or anything serious, but I was a bit weaker for a short time after using the stone. At least I didn't die like Iron Man, but to be fair, he used most of the stones while I only used the one. I can argue that destroying a planet is arguably more taxing than simply killing an army, but I would like to think I am not so much of a sore loser. Destroying Morag was probably an impulsive decision, but I wanted to test out what I would be able to achieve with a stone. Fortunately, it's not as if someone is going to miss the planet. Allowing my daughter to see me destroy a planet and causing a genocide probably won't make me the father of the year. I moved towards my lab and began to study the stone. To think I have a stone that predates the universe as another one of my toys. I kind of metaphorically cucked Thanos since he had a hard-on for the things in the movies. If he wants to get his hands on my newest baby, he will quickly learn I am not so fragile as the Avengers and very possessive of the things that are mine. The creatures on Morag gave me a brilliant idea of how to properly utilize the Infinity Stone. I don't want such an incredible tool to only be useful as an external weapon. That is why I will find a method to safely use the Power Stone to increase my powers even more. Of course, it will take a while to implement since for all I know the method has serious side effects, and as much as I behave arrogantly or won't even take the apocalypse seriously, I can be careful when the need arises. Thinking about it, I really was impulsive with my decision to destroy Morag. Now I don't have any test subjects to see if the creatures of Morag gained any negative side effects, like shortening of lifespan or a tainted soul. I sigh. I guess I have to pull a Hydra move and find a few people to subject to experiments. I just hope that I don't end up creating a stronger version of Hulk or something. My musings are interrupted by Hela entering my lab. How come I heard from my niece you blew up a planet? Worse, why wasn't I invited to this event? I quickly hide the Infinity Stone so that she doesn't see. It's not that I think she will be tempted to try and take the stone from me. I just don't want anyone that isn't absolutely loyal to me, like Jormungandr, to know what big boy toys I have. Men's night out. Plus, you're not really durable in that form and replacing your body will be a pain. I am not some glass cannon. I can even beat that son of yours. That is because your magic is bullshit and I forbade him from using lethal force on you. Still doesn't mean he will beat me. Damn, you're so insufferable. I don't see what ladies see in you. She says, not really meaning it. Probably my dashing looks, my charming personality, or my giant you-know-what. I say as she gives me a blank look. I think what you need is a friend that isn't me, a snake or a little girl. You would be happier getting out, or maybe if the great Odin's daughter is too proud to do that, you can try to conquer a few planets. You certainly enjoyed that back in the day. Yeah, I enjoyed it until I was thrown in prison by my father, and I doubt I can beat him with my current meat suit. Your meat suit isn't all bad. I certainly enjoy it in our nightly activities. Of course you do. You're a pervert of the highest degree. You certainly don't complain when you're the one occupying my bed. She ignores my statement and moves behind me to put her hands on my shoulders. She begins massaging my shoulders. I guess I should probably try and gain a few friends. Maybe I should start with Elsa. It is the older sister's job to make sure her little brother gets a worthy partner. I am surprised you didn't react much when Elsa visited the other day. You know it isn't healthy to bottle up jealousy. Her eye twitches at my statement. Yes, maybe we will have a girls' night. I am sure she will be excited to find out all the stuff her little girl gets up to here. My eye this time twitches at her words. I won't fall for your bait. And if it isn't bait and you go through with it, I will have to do something that Odin should have done centuries ago and give you a spanking to stop your snooty behavior. She grits her teeth at my words. She really hates when I bring up Odin. Please. She snorts. I am not some submissive wench who can allow herself to be put in such a position. If you are doing something fun and I won't be invited, I will stab you, brother or not. Okay. Can you make sure my little icicle isn't doing anything naughty? I really don't want my daughter to be an arrogant girl down the line. Sure. It will probably help if you stop spoiling her. She says before leaving. I get back to my project or studying the Power Stone. Working and testing the Power Stone, I get a bit tempted to find the other stones but immediately dismiss that idea. I don't want the entire universe out to get me yet. Oracle, take control of the Omnitrix and abduct a few Jotuns. It's experimenting time. I say as a hologram of a feminine body appears. Yes, Master. Consider it done. I just sit there in my lab contemplating the future subjects I will use inhumane experiments on. This time I will make sure Elsa doesn't see. Sure, I allow her to see a lot, but me experimenting on people, she will most likely be traumatized, and some random ice shits traumatizing my adorable daughter is a no-no. Waking up, I quickly look at my phone to look at the time. The time read 10 a.m. and the date read January 2009. A month before Tony Stark would be kidnapped. To be honest, I am surprised the guy exists. I guess my staying around Asia and Europe caused America to not be as thoroughly messed up by the butterfly effect. Plus, whenever I was on Midgard, I was only there to have fun or learn something, so the world wasn't too affected. I stand up from the bed and look at my current bed partner. Hela in all her naked glory just peacefully resting there. I am honestly surprised she stuck with me for so long, but she has gotten dependent on me in the last few centuries. Of course, I did the same thing I did with Elsa, and now I have two faithful girlfriends. Sure, messing with the minds of your loved ones is unethical, but it is preferable to having to kill them because they decided to get adventurous. No matter my previous affections for them, I am certain I will kill anyone who has the balls to cheat on me. Even if they try to kill me, their punishment would be lesser than if I find them straying, which I find weird, but I don't plan on changing. I trust my girls a lot, but sometimes love and fear aren't enough to stop people from trying something new. For example, I successfully seduced Peggy Carter a few decades ago while she was all lovey-dovey with Steve, without any mind magic, just my looks, charms and persistence. Even though Peggy and Steve weren't technically together, it still shows if Peggy Carter can be seduced, anyone can. As long as you have the ability to desire, you'll desire something taboo, and cheating is one of the best taboos. It is probably the reason that I sleep with so many wives, although I think it is just because I am a scumbag. Self-aware but still scum. I give Hella a peck on the lips before leaving my penthouse that is situated in the upper areas of New York. I could have gone to LA or someplace else, but I decided since people worship me as the god of chaos, I should go to probably the most chaotic city in America. Driving through the streets of New York City in my self-made car, I am surprised how calming this is. When coming to Midgard a few months ago, I wondered how I would spend my time this time around. So I had a plan to start a business. Not one that makes tech, since I don't want my toys to land in the hands of Midgardians and have them end up trying to blow me up with it. So I decided, why not improve the entertainment center, since that is something I and the humans can enjoy. So now Earth has Lopt Incorporated, which will in the future be the leading entertainment business. Lopt is just another name for me, and I didn't want to name the company Loki, so I went ahead with it. In my previous life, I died with a sour impression of streaming services. Right before I kicked the bucket, I didn't have the money for unnecessary things because of my medical bills. So you can imagine me being upset about every company deciding to launch their shows and movies exclusively on their streaming services. So I am going to show my previous resentment by monopolizing the industry. I don't care if a shit ton of people die to achieve my goal. I am already in the process of buying a shit ton of shares of Netflix and YouTube just so I can control those two companies that made my teenage years enjoyable by offering something to relax from university life. I couldn't relieve stress by sleeping with a lot of girls then because 1, unsurprisingly, not a lot of girls in their 20s find 13 to 15-year-olds attractive, and 2, frankly, I was a 6 on the look scale on my best day. I arrive at the main headquarters of my company and walk through the entrances and allow myself to be seen by the cameras. Once I arrive at my office, I teleport to the ones at Netflix, and with an invisibility spell on, I arrive before the office of one of the people who stopped me from completing taking over the company. I want to kill him because of wasting my time in acquiring the company, but I like to think I am not needlessly cruel. Okay, I did cuckold my brother, but I stopped after a few years. Now his relationship with Sif is stronger than ever. They even have a child called Magni. The kid is a shit stain, barely over 300 years old, and believes he is unstoppable, but at least they have one. I may be biased, but my children are angels in comparison. Elsa was a bit arrogant in her teenage years, but a few spankings toned that down. Guess the humiliation of having her daddy spank her was too much. I am just glad my icicle is a lesbian because I really wasn't looking forward to killing every boy who thinks they can touch my daughter. Guess I am a bit overprotective or maybe possessive. I dismissed my thoughts of my family before entering the office of one of the majority stockholders of Netflix. I dismiss my invisibility and relax in his chair, waiting for him to arrive. The room is simple with a minimalist design. I am surprised someone could work in such a bland room. Compared to my usual offices that have enough LED lights to give someone photophobia, it is quite different. It doesn't take long before the door opens. The chair I am sitting on isn't faced towards the door, so he can't see me. When he is in the room properly, I spin the chair towards him. Matthew Dickens, I announce cheerfully, and he lets out a frightful squeak. We finally meet. You have been a royal pain. He quickly gains composure. Guards. He yells, but unfortunately for him, I am a 1,000-year-old troll who knows how to create a silencing spell around a room. It won't work. I don't even know why I am conversing with you. Either you will die or become a mindless puppet. Faster than he reacts, I am before him. I put my hand on his chest. You will sell your shares to me without being suspicious and while making sure no one is overly suspicious of you doing it. I whistle as I leave the room and teleport back to my office. Shit on this planet will probably hit the fan in a few years, so why not have fun while I am at it? I missed movies and shows. Sure, there are some places in the universe that have something close to it, but it is not the same. First I will conquer Netflix and then the world. I am joking. Damn the world. It would be a pain to run without mind control, and I don't see enough benefit to warrant me taking over this planet. I already have Perfectum, and my baby is far better than this badly named planet. Seriously, who names a planet after an element? You won't be hearing me calling my planet fire or water. While sitting at my desk, I take out the Power Stone. After a few years, I finally perfected how to use the ambient energy to improve myself without turning into a golem-like creature. I started using it, and I am already twice as strong magically and physically. To some that would be slow, but you need to understand I was already powerful before using it. I relax on my chair while doing my routine task of absorbing the Power Stone energy. Even with mind control and a few disappearances, acquiring Netflix and YouTube left me billions of dollars poorer. I, unfortunately, can't just transmute other metals into gold. Otherwise, I would screw up the economy. And stealing billions out of people's accounts would cause S.H.I.E.L.D. to come kicking down my door, guns blazing. Wiping out an entire organization would be annoying, and then dealing with the repercussions would be even more of a hassle since I don't want entire governments questioning why a sizable secret organization just got destroyed. I will leave them ignorant of the fact that they are just ants beneath my boots, unless they go out of their way to annoy me. It is really telling how I progressed over the past years. Contemplating starting massacres on the government would have left me scared shitless before becoming Loki, but now that's my go-to response to things that annoy me or that can't be solved by insulting them. My son was probably right when he said that I need a therapist, but to be honest, I see my mentality as an absolute win. I really wouldn't want to be a coward who can't kill the people who made my life miserable. Thinking about the government, I should probably create an identity for Hela, otherwise they would find another reason to nag me. Of course, the method of creating hers and mine was completely different. For myself, I basically created a baby homunculus that looked and acted like myself and inserted him into a billionaire household about 2 decades ago. When I finally got ready to start living on Midgard, I killed the homunculus, took over his life and killed his parents. How do you expect me to have billions in only a few months of staying on Midgard? I can't pull off such miracles. I am not Jesus. I begin the process of forging Hela's identity, and I have to say it is much simpler to pull off than the method I had to use for myself. There was one annoying bit, and that was Heimdall. I can't name her Hela, because he knows that I am on Midgard, and if he hears that my lover is named Hela from media sources, he will report it to Odin. I crafted a bracelet with runes on it that would disguise her from Heimdall and trick the humans into thinking she looks different than she actually is, so I am safe on the looks front. It is times like these that I just want to ruin those peeping golden eyes of his. It is weird since I liked him in the movies, but the idea in real life that someone can watch everything you do is extremely off-putting. Setting up the paper trail for Hela's identity was easier, but I had to send a clone to convince a few people that she actually exists. Just as I finished with my current task, I got a notification from Oracle. I open it and a hologram of a feminine face appears. "Hey Oracle, what can I do for you this fine evening?" "Sir, you asked me to monitor anything interesting happening on the planet." "And? What did you find?" I asked curiously. "The billionaire known as Tony Stark has been reported as kidnapped, sir." I had trouble concealing my smirk at her words. My. This is definitely interesting. Keep monitoring him. If he gets out of this alive, it will be an excellent business opportunity. Yes, sir. I will continue monitoring this as well as other money-making opportunities. If he survives this and still continues with the cancellation of his weapons manufacturing, a lot of the shareholders of the company will sell their stocks, and I'll be there to buy them up and snag myself a shit ton of money in the future. Oh, and there would be a new superhero. I guess that is cool too. Or is it? Since I can technically be classified as a villain. I honestly don't even know why I am so obsessed with money, since I can just conjure anything I want. It must be a status thing, and if I ever meet Tony Stark or another rich freak, I don't want to have them bragging that they have deeper pockets than me. I go about the day just running my company before heading home. When I enter my living room, I see Hela playing God of War 3. It was released earlier because I bought the rights to the game and let my clones speed up the progress. Hela was currently messing up Zeus as Kratos. It had me imagining what would happen if I let Hela and Odin be in the same room. Take that, you old fool. You think you could just imprison me and live your life peacefully. Hela rants as the Kratos she is playing is busy killing Zeus. I expected more from this fight, ODI. Zeus. Probably not my brightest idea giving her access to the game, since it would remind her of home. I contemplated just exiting the room but decided against it. I just watched her finish her fight before making my presence known. You know, the next game will be about Kratos and the Norse gods. I bet you would vent better if you could kill all my family members rather than the Greek gods. I say as I give her a quick kiss. I would prefer if I could kill my father in real life, but I am not against the idea. Video games are masterpieces. Why aren't they popular on Asgard? That awkward moment when your girlfriend wants to kill your father, who is also her father. Just thinking about that sentence caused me to question how I ended up in this situation. I ask myself that 100 times, but I guess your people are too brutish to see video games for what they truly are, I say as I sit next to her on the couch. We talk for a bit before she suddenly gets on the floor with her face nearly in my crotch. The entire night we get no sleep, which isn't a problem for me, but it is for Hela, who has the capabilities of a normal human. When morning came, I let her use me as her personal pillow while she slept since I had nothing important to do. As I lie on my bed, I think about how to get myself involved in the superhero world that is soon to emerge. I briefly think about becoming a hero before breaking out in laughter. I know I wouldn't enjoy saving random people, nor am I willing to subject myself to such a miserable job. Take Sion for example. He did hero work for decades before snapping and killing billions across multiple worlds. To be fair, he was kind of depressed and was going to do it anyway, but literally one conversation with some insane prick caused him to go over the edge. So becoming a superhero is definitely out. I could become a mercenary, but I am too prideful to take commands even if I am technically being paid to follow orders. I contemplate the question for a while as I do my morning routine before heading towards the living room. I am greeted by the sight of Hela and a familiar blonde sitting on the couch, playing COD Modern Warfare co-op on 2 different consoles. The familiar blonde is my lovely daughter, and I immediately go in to greet her with a quick hug to the side. Ah, what? She stammers out, surprised. Oh, hi, Dad. Her distraction caused her to get killed by Hela, and I had to stop my smirk from forming. Being a dad is great. Disrupting online games was something my parents too sadistically relished in, and I finally got to do it to someone else. Nice going. I hope you're proud of yourself, she says, and she glares in my direction. Sorry, sweetie. On the bright side, at least I am not telling you to pause the game. I am playing online. It can't be paused. Tell that to my previous parents and thousands of children around the world, I thought. Just steal the time stone from Professor Baldi. Can you believe she goes by the Ancient One these days? I am almost double her age, so what does that make me? She giggles at me. Don't pout, you're too old for that, Daddy, and don't tease my teacher's baldness. She makes the look work. So why are you here? Aren't you supposed to be doing some princessly duties? Aunt Hela has asked me to try and play these games, and I fell in love. When I become Queen of Alfheim, I will make sure that this becomes popular. If you don't focus on our match, Elsa, I will have to talk to your mother about you doing more diplomatic missions for Alfheim. Hela threatens. I smile watching my daughter pale. She is truly my child. We both loathe getting sent on shitty errands by our parents. Luckily, I am not the crown prince, so I could just leave Asgard to avoid them. Unfortunately, my daughter isn't so lucky. You're bluffing. You can't blackmail me in front of my father. He has you whipped, she says smugly, only for a necrosword to shoot towards her. She quickly creates an ice barrier to block the sword. No fighting in my house, love. This place isn't cheap. I chastise them both. Fine, but you have to join us. I turned on a third console and began playing with them. Let's just say when you have a perfect memory and almost 1,000 hours in the game locked and primed as well as superhuman reflexes, you really can't be beat. Remind me why I asked you to join, Ella says with a sigh. I just laugh at her. So guys, I was wondering if I should get myself into the city's underworld. Should I just become a kingpin, a warlord, or something else? Isn't that bullying, Dad? I mean, you would be the equivalent of a level 500 during the tutorial. That's a bit of overkill. Elsa says. You could take over the underworld. But since you don't know how to run a kingdom, it won't be too easy. Ella says. What do you mean by I don't know how to run a kingdom? I literally have my own moving planet. I refute. There are literally no sapient people on that giant spaceship of yours except for your children and Elsa, who sometimes visits. So I doubt you actually practically learned how to rule. Fair point, and don't ever call Perfectum a spaceship again. It's far better than the Asgard that you hunger for. I don't even know why you are asking me. I am sure you would try and take over the underworld anyways. Well, I need henchmen and you're my first choice. I teleport out of the way of the necrosword that she shot my way. I glare at the woman and she adopts an innocuous expression. That was an accident. I use telekinesis to move the couch that she is sitting on, letting her fall on her rear. Oops, that was an accident, I promise. I replied. You just told the former crown princess of Asgard to become your henchwoman. As expected of someone of my blood. My daughter says with a proud expression. Damn, she's prideful. She probably inherited that from her mother. Ella glares at me as she stands up before glaring at her niece. What do you mean by the former? I am still the crown princess. My little brother can easily encounter an accident that would cause him to be unable to become king. My expression shifts to a deadpan as I stare at her. Threatening the brother of an extremely powerful mage as well as fighter right in front of him. Quite the metaphorical balls on you. As expected of someone related to me. Elsa says to Hela. My deadpan moved to my daughter and I had trouble keeping my lips or eyes from twitching. Alright, I'm out. Enjoy your day. The world won't take over itself. I say before giving a hug and kiss to my daughter's forehead and one on the lips to my consort. I drive to my office, feeling the wind blow through my long hair. If I want to become a kingpin, I need a right-hand man or woman. I can't be all mysterious if I show up personally at my illegal dealings, plus I don't want my identity to be ruined so quickly. It would take the fun out of all this. I have a certain Russian in mind who can do an okay job as my first henchman. It's not Black Widow, but I believe I can make do. Yelena POV, shooting my last enemy, I get ready to get back to HQ to report on another successful mission. I concealed my clothes by putting casual wear over them before getting on my motorcycle and driving back to HQ. Luckily this mission didn't take me far from our base. Otherwise, I would have had to take an aircraft back. The base is situated about 50 kilometers away from Moscow, underground, and I am currently in Moscow, so it won't take too long. I arrive in quick time order and head to the base. I pass by the workers and other agents, only quickly observing them, since in my line of business it keeps you alive if you're cautious. As one of the best assassins of our organization, I am one of the few agents who personally report to the director. I make my way to his office and knock on the door. Enter. I hear from the other side. I do as I have been told, and what greets me inside is the familiar sight of my boss. He is wearing an expensive suit and has a potbelly and no hair. My attention, though, is on the other person in the room. A man in his mid-20s with a black suit on and a green tie on. He had startling green eyes and silky long black hair. Eye candy would be a decent word to describe him, and I am sure if it wasn't for my training with the Red Room, I would become infatuated by him. He had the expression of someone who can't take anything seriously and knows a joke that no one is privy to but himself. Agent Belova, meet Mr. Loki. He will be your new handler. My boss said. My instincts told me something was off, and they were right because as soon as my boss finished saying his sentence, the newly identified Loki stood up and snapped his fingers, and my boss exploded with blue energy coming out of him. I immediately took out my handgun and used my full mag to shoot into him. All of the bullets connected, but he wasn't damaged in the slightest. Ow. The monster said in a tone that confirmed that he wasn't hurt or in pain. Figuring that bullets don't work, I immediately took out an energy baton and was about to sprint forward to hit him, but I was stopped midway and couldn't even move my body. You have no survival instincts, but it doesn't matter. You will suffice for what I want/planned to do. Sorry about your boss. I simply don't like to share and figured I would just kill him and make it easier. I observed him for a few seconds and figured he was clearly a psychopath. I shouldn't be too silent in case he doesn't like being ignored. What do you want? It clearly isn't to recruit me. You wouldn't antagonize one of the biggest Russian organizations for something so mundane. He cocked his head to the side as if confused about how that could be a problem. My evaluation of him immediately goes from psycho to suicidal psycho. I assure you, my dear, my mental faculties are splendid. I feel like you're overestimating your organization's abilities. Did he just read my thoughts? Yes, I did. Glad to see my new minion is quick on the uptake. This isn't the first person I fought with abilities, but I doubt I could beat him. Most of my meta targets I could sneak up to and incapacitate, but this Loki has the advantage as well as what looks like a versatile set of powers. You recruit me and expect me to be loyal. He just nods and I become even more incredulous with him. Either he is the most arrogant person I have ever met, or he has the capabilities to stop me from rebelling. I am not sure I like the latter thought. I have many methods of ensuring loyalty, and you will quickly find out that the rewards for serving me faithfully are quite generous. My only options are going with a handsome nut job or dying for an organization I don't really believe in. Is there really even a choice? Fine. I accept, but I doubt I will make it out of this place alive. Finally. Now, this is my favorite part. Watch closely, dear. His hold on me drops, but I still can't physically harm him. I can move around though and quickly stretch. Explosive sounds go out and I hear people running about outside. Hey, can you give me one of your guns? It has been a while since I used firearms and I figure it can be quite fun. I throw him my spare weapon and watch as he kicks open the door and exits the office, gun blazing. Every single bullet he fires finds itself in someone's head. It is what you would expect if Hawkeye used a gun. Perfect accuracy, just like my sister's boy toy. I am honestly questioning if it really has been a while, since we have already covered half the base and he has yet to miss a shot. I feel like I should feel more watching him gun down my former coworkers, but my emotions on the subject are muted. It is not like I can help them since I can't even physically aim my gun in his direction with ill intent, so I avoid thinking about the subject. None of the explosions are even affecting us and I only contribute more to the growing list of powers my new boss has. When we arrived outside, a bigger explosion went off, one that destroyed the entire building. Why couldn't you just do that at the beginning instead of manually slaughtering everyone? What is life without a little chaos to brighten up your day? Plus I had to show off my epic skills to you so you know I can be scary without my powers. I nod at him, fully agreeing. Even without his powers, I would be cautious to engage him, but without it, it would frankly be suicide. Loki POV, the first step to creating a criminal empire is completed. I officially have my non-consenting henchman. It sounds wrong when I think about it like that, but then again, when has consent ever stopped me? Damn, I just made it sound worse. I technically have never raped anyone. At most I used magic to lower someone's inhibitions, so at most I had dubious consent. I could just as well have given someone alcohol since it would have had the same effect. I have gotten off the topic. My first step is completed. Now it is time to build a base for where my operation takes place. I already know my illegal business will focus on drugs, gambling, and maybe prostitution. Since prostitution is one of the things that never will go away, I can at least make the business tolerable for the working ladies. I can be generous, and yet there are still people who believe I am a complete bastard. My main base will be under Central Park. I believe it would be funny making it under such an iconic spot. I wanted to make it in the Statue of Liberty, but that place is basically a tourist location, and being found out so quickly would be disappointing. Getting the businesses underway is an easy process, but a bit time-consuming. Oracle can easily build a base since she has a shit ton of construction droids in storage. The villain's life is quite the fun life. Well, for me at least. For most people I believe it would be stressful. Still better than being a hero, though. A month has already passed, and I can gladly say my New York empire is well on its way. For a reluctant minion, Yelena is doing a splendid job. I only charmed her not to betray me, so it is surprising that she is doing this well. She has increased my garrison to a decent amount. Of course, they are only loyal to my money, but fortunately, I am rich and I don't even have to worry about them betraying me because they are weak. My current right hand, though, is impressive. Yelena Belova, sister of Black Widow. I don't know much about her since I never really bothered to read the comics, but I remember one of my geekier acquaintances going on about how amazing his waifu Yelena is and how she is better than Natasha. I still cringe when I remember him simping about her, but at least he put a decent minion on my radar. Although Yelena's skills are quite impressive, she is still extremely vulnerable to anyone with superpowers or people with equal amounts of skill as her. Fortunately, I am a magnanimous boss and an excellent geneticist. I guess it's time to give Yelena a reward in the form of a power-up. I wish I could just use intimacy to reward my female workers, but unfortunately, I wasn't reincarnated in a hentai world and have to give real rewards. It certainly helps that my method of giving her powers will subtly make her loyal. Oracle, if Yelena isn't doing anything important, tell her I have something to show her. I inform my faithful AI. Affirmative, sir. Came the reply from the earbuds in my ear. I went to my lab in my penthouse and began working on creating a method in which to get her powers. The lab isn't as advanced as mine on Perfectum, but it will do. My flying artificial planet is reserved for people with a good mind defense and who are trustworthy. Yelena doesn't meet any of the two requirements, so I can't improve her on Perfectum. I take a bit of inspiration from One Piece and begin designing a fruit with the ability to grant a specific power I infuse it with. The fruit will fuse with the brain of the user, which will cause the power to not be able to be recreated if someone gets a hold of their DNA. Another few benefits are that I can revive the person if the brain is still intact, and it will cause the person to slowly become loyal towards me. Side effect number 4 is that it will increase the physique of the user to Captain America levels unless I infuse super strength. Of course, there are still safety measures, so only I can use the fused brain fruit. By the end of the day, I am almost done with the creation process, but I still have to select which power to use. Since Yelena is more of an assassin, a power like shapeshifting or intangibility can be extremely useful. Who am I kidding? I am obviously choosing intangibility since it is one of my favorite powers to use in battles unless I toy with my prey. There are wards in the room, so it isn't a problem when I take out the power stone from my hammer space. My trusty weapon comes flying from my room into my waiting hand and I transform it into a gauntlet to hold the stone. Inserting the purple gem, I begin to infuse the power of intangibility into the fruit. Sir, Miss Belova has arrived and she hasn't been spotted. Oracle informs me through the speakers. Good, give her a route that won't let her encounter Hela. I really don't want to encounter any sort of conflict if Hela figures out I am giving the new girl a superior body to hers. Damn, I should probably get Hela into her main body soon. As you wish, sir. A few minutes later, I heard a sound that indicated someone was on the other side of the door. Quickly banishing everything I didn't want her to see, I applied a bit of telekinesis to open the door. Welcome, my lovely minion. Pleasant surprise seeing you this evening. What is it you need? I say and stop myself from laughing at her face that suddenly turned worried. Your assistant said you wanted me for something. Am I wrong or was the information false? She replies. My expression turned faux serious. Oh dear, it seems we have encountered an unwelcome situation. I watch her tense and just stare at her for 5 seconds before laughing. Damn the sadist in me. I am just messing with you. Everything is fine. The tenseness in her shoulders evaporates. God, you're a bastard. You are luckier than my brother then. He had to grow up with me and was subjected to years of me toying with him. I just wish I was there to do the same to his son. Maybe then the freak wouldn't be so insufferable. I actually considered that Jormungandr eat him when he thought he was better than me, just because he is a pure warrior. I say, and I only get a confused look in return. I slept with his mom. He should have more respect for me than his father. I sigh at the stupidity of people. Maybe I can mimic 12-year-olds on Xbox and tell him I slept with his mom if he irritates me more. Never mind my bantering, I have a gift for you. I said and moved out of the way to show her the fruit. Don't worry, it is not poisoned. There are thousands of easier methods to kill you. Am I supposed to eat this? It doesn't look pleasant. She says as she moves forwards and grabs it. My simulations show that it doesn't taste very pleasant either. I say with a grin as I watch her eat it with a disgusted expression. I could change the flavor, but unfortunately for her, I am a bit of a sadist. I always say it is better to be an S than an M, so I don't try to change that aspect of myself too much, as long as I don't go too far with my loved ones. Her body starts writhing, so I quickly apply telekinesis to stop her from falling on the ground. I conjured a bed and put her down on it. The transformation barely takes 10 minutes before it is done. There isn't a massive outward difference, just her gaining a bit of muscle mass in certain areas and gaining a few inches in height. She groggily opened her eyes but quickly got out of her funk and stood up. Wow. I feel amazing. Congratulations. You have evolved from the realm of apes and have unlocked your meridians to move forward into the road of cultivation. I am glad you have survived your heavenly tribulation. I say, mimicking the weird method of speaking of the cultivation novel Young Masters. I truly wish I never discovered those novels a few months ago. My statement leaves the poor girl confused, and I don't blame her. If I were a less intelligent person, I would have stumped myself because of the nonsense terminology and the fact that everyone in the clan's name is Shur Ki, Shur Pai, Shur Han, or Shur Yen. Like, How the hell can regular people even remember these names? They nearly sound the exact same. I take a deep breath to calm myself. Don't worry, love. Seems like everything went fine. We can do a power test in a bit to see how well you will handle your new powers. New powers? You could have told me it did that. You didn't ask. I said smugly, and she had no choice but to concede. Guess that you are so insufferable to work with that I just rush into work without questions. My bad. Wow. You just insulted me while offering your lame-ass apology. I say. Well, you like playing with me, so I feel I should be able to do the same once in a while. Playing with you does sound fun, but I have 2 quasi-wives I can go to if I am in the mood. I can't believe you. She says with a sigh before beginning to test her power. I guess she can instinctively use it. This is breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking. I am not even flirting, I am just doing my obligatory job as a former Redditor. Damn, I couldn't even play the game before I kicked the bucket. Now I am sad. I just continue to watch as she practices her powers, making sure to memorize the results in case I want to do this again further in the future. Odin POV. I was worried. It had been a few centuries since Heimdall reported to me that someone was in the realm where I imprisoned Hela. What's worse is that they met each other. I wanted to immediately teleport to Helheim to stop this mysterious someone from uncovering something about my distant past, but I stopped that plan when I heard he defeated Hela. The description Heimdall gave of that person is that he has blonde hair and has a muscular build. I defeated Hela once, but I was much younger then, and fighting them both wouldn't go over so well now. I wanted to send my 2 sons, but I was not ready to tell them about their imprisoned sister. I trusted their capabilities to handle those 2, but they couldn't in the end. Heimdall also reported that Hela's defeater was a physical fighter who used a spear and an extremely durable shield that could block Hela's necroswords. Since Heimdall has been loyal to me for millennia, I took his word for it. I was afraid that he would end my daughter, but apparently, the 2 turned lovers. The men spent the next few months with Hela either sparring, if you can even call it that, or fornicating. All of this information was provided by Heimdall, and I can now understand why Loki keeps insulting him about being a voyeur. The Mun stopped visiting a few months later, and I thought it was the end of it. So it was quite a surprise when I recently felt the barrier on Hela's prison break. She was being broken out by the same person Heimdall described to me centuries ago. Loki POV. I have been delaying putting Hela back into her main body for years now, because frankly, I was a bit lazy and still unsure of whether she was going to kill my father. It's not that Odin's death would make me overly sad or upset. We were never really close, but I do care about Frigga and, to a lesser extent, Thor. Odin's death would negatively affect them, so I wouldn't want to risk it. Now I am not too worried about it because I have been a bad influence on Hela the past few centuries, and she fully embraces the lazy life, so I doubt she would be after the crown. Meaning Thor and Frigga are safer to a better extent. Thor's death I don't have to worry about then, but I can't say the same about Odin. I haven't influenced her to fully forgive people who messed with her life, because once again, frankly, I am a vengeful person. If anything, I may have influenced her to be a bit more vindictive. Do you want to know something interesting? I wouldn't be upset if Hela killed Odin. Looking at it from this perspective, I am quite possessive of what is mine, and Hela has a special place in my heart compared to Odin, who I only kinda like and have a bit of gratitude for. I couldn't really look past the thing where I am just a pawn for Odin's kingdom to really want to have a loving relationship, and I always had the ability to stop myself from accumulating affection for someone. The only people I allowed myself to care for are my children, Frigga and Thor, and my 2 main lovers. I guess I am a selective sociopath. Now I am finally ready to get Hela into her main body, because I can accept it if the old man dies. He only has a few years left anyway. I have killed people for a lot of petty reasons across the 1,000 years I have been alive. Daring to touch what is mine is something that assailants usually get a hellish death for. Odin is the only one not to experience the same thing. It says how much I care about my mother and brother. Of course, if he tries doing something like that again, I would personally end him. I move to my room that I share with Hela and I immediately enter. She is lying on the bed in lingerie, reading a book. Her outfit almost makes me want to postpone what I am about to do, to take her right there on the bed, but I don't want to procrastinate even more. It's time, my love. We are permanently getting you out of that vile place known as hell. I announced it, and I received a flirtatious smirk in return. Well, this is a pleasant surprise. I thought I would have to wait for my father to kick the bucket before I could get my original body back. Loki, the god of magic and chaos, has abilities many would consider unnatural. Expect resistance though. Doing this subtly would take some time, so I would rather just bulldoze through whatever barriers Odin set up. I say, don't talk about yourself in third person. I have told you 1,000 times that it doesn't make you sound cool. I pout at her. Resistance? Getting the chance to destroy Odin, I wouldn't pass up the offer for the world. That's a lie. There are plenty of things that I would prefer to do than kill Odin, like having the new God of War game that you mentioned come out. You know you are talking about my father here. She scoffs. Please, I have known you for years. I would know if it bothered you, and talking about the death of Odin is something that doesn't, unless I mention your mother and our brother. Ah, who would think that the mighty Loki is a mama's boy? Fair enough, let's go. It would be nice to sleep with you again without having to heal you afterwards, and at least I don't have daddy issues. Are you calling me weak? Yes. Fair enough, let's go and correct that then. I teleport us both to hell and give a mental thanks to the bald sorcerer boys for creating such a nice portal technique. We begin walking to the barrier and to a vibranium house that I built that would protect the sleeping form of my beloved. It had warning, offensive and defensive wards in case some schmuck decided to mess with my dear. We quickly arrive at the sleeping form of my lover. I caress her face for a second, enjoying the coldness of her skin. Would it be molestation if I inappropriately touched your sleeping body while you're technically next to me? I ask, no, but is it weird that I am getting a bit jealous that you are caressing it so lovingly? I snort before beginning the process of putting Hela back perfectly. I teleport her body to Perfectum if by some bizarre miracle I would need it again. Welcome back, Odin's daughter. I say as I raise my hand to lift her up. It will take a while for me to get used to this strength again. I am so glad to lose my glass cannon status. So how are you going to break the barrier? I have tried for years with no success. I will cheat. I say before getting out the power stone. She just raises her eyebrows as she takes in the image of the stone. Of course you would have an infinity stone. You and your toys. I begin combining my magical skills with a power stone to overcharge the barrier. In seconds a visible force field appears around the area and begins shining brighter and brighter. Parabellum, darling. Hela says as she creates 2 necroswords and her infamous headpiece. War. I think you're exaggerating. Most of the Asgardians don't even know you exist. I say as I continue to work on the barrier. Odin would never let me walk free, and he knows that he would need help to fight us. A few minutes later, a rainbow comes through. Just in time as I finish. The barrier explodes in on itself. My father and Magni, my nephew, walk out. Halt, surrender immediately or be met with extreme prejudice. Odin says with a somber tone. I can feel Hela brimming with excitement. No, I don't think we will. She says with a manic grin. Oh shit, here we go again. I had an illusion active, so they couldn't identify me. And even if Odin is suspicious, which I doubt he is, my acting will convince him otherwise. By acting, I mean to simply not taunt them while being a bastard. The direct opposite of what I would normally do. Certainly not the best reputation to have, but it was great fun obtaining it. We mean you no harm, Allfather. Leave us be and we won't have to hurt you. I say. By acting civil, I can have the moral high ground if my mother somehow finds out that I bullied her husband. Please, as if you could harm us. Listen to him, little mun, and I won't have to mess you up too much. Magni says mockingly. I consider leaving my brother of Aloma by ridding him of the disappointment that is his son. You don't simply insult someone whom the Allfather urgently tried to stop unless you're me. I at least have the strength to back up my arrogance. Big talk for a boy I've never heard of. I don't see the iconic hammer, so you must be some no-name schmuck who decided to tag along. I replied. You bastard. I am Magni, son of Thor, and I will not be looked down upon by a lesser mortal. Enough. Odin shouts. I expected a bigger reunion party, father. I guess you don't want anyone important to die alongside you. Hela taunts. Hela, I see you are still set in your old ways of shedding blood. You force my hand, daughter. I will show no mercy this time, Odin says, causing Hela to only scoff. Magni, meanwhile, bears his confusion to the world with his facial expressions. On the other hand, I am disappointed. I have been sparring with Thor since we were children, and even then Thor could hardly keep up with me when I used magic. My physical and magical prowess has increased since then, and this minimum budget version of my brother thinks he can defeat me. Just when I finish that train of thought, the Bifrost opens again, and this time, Thor, with his mighty hammer Mjolnir, walks out with the destroyer. Lightning quickly follows in his wake, and I get excited. It has been a while since we last fought. Of course, I am not going to seriously injure him. People might think Thor is an easy person to fight, but those fools underestimate the speed of lightning. A single bolt of lightning can travel at up to 350,000 kilometers per hour when arcing from the atmosphere to the earth. Of course, I can handle the strike, but I am not a masochist, so I won't try and get hit all willy-nilly. Last chance, let us leave peacefully or fight and risk dying. I say so Thor can later see we were only trying to leave. Of course, I could simply just teleport us away, but who am I to deny vengeance to my girlfriend? She would try to get revenge later if I interfered. At least I can keep the situation under my control like this. Father, isn't it wise if we let them leave? Thor replied, unsure of the details as to why we were met with such aggression. I would not risk the lives of my people by letting her leave here and obtaining the chance to attack Asgard. Now attack, Odin says and charges at us. This is quite aggressive, but not completely irrational since Hela would try and kill anyway. I sneakily summon Swordom at my back in the form of a sword. I grab the Power Stone and place it in the sword. I will refrain from using magic much in this fight, since that is a dead giveaway to my identity. So I will use the stone in place of my magic. I charge forward towards my brother, nephew, and the destroyer. The destroyer fires an Odin Force blast at me, but I simply deflect it with my sword. One of my passive spells is a type of danger sense, which allowed me to anticipate the lightning that dropped on my previous location. The serum I previously used allowed me to reach above the peak of my frost giant physiology, which was only a bit above Thor's strength and speed. I am currently double that with the consumption of the Power Stone's energy over the years. So dodging is easier since I am double their speed. The main threats are the Destroyer and Thor, since they have a long-range attack, unlike Magni, who only has his physical strength and a shield. I blast the Destroyer with a Power Stone, sending it flying a couple of meters away before going blow to blow with Magni and Thor. The Destroyer isn't out of it for long, and just as I was about to slice off Magni's balls, the Destroyer shoots me again, causing me to divert some attention to it to block. The blast ricocheted, hitting Magni in the balls anyway. Magni's moans of pain fill the battlefield, and I am pretty sure he is out of commission for the rest of the fight. I guess Thor can keep his son for another day. I didn't pay attention to the downed fool any longer and immediately began fighting the remaining two warriors again. The two are quite the combo, and I almost tried to upgrade the Destroyer back in the day. Both take to the sky and fire their respective methods of mass destruction at me. My Infinity Stone-powered URU sword blocks the destructive wave but doesn't stop the ground from quaking under me. I bent my knees and propelled myself into the air. I hacked down on the Destroyer before sending it to the ground with a punch. While it is falling, I land on its chest to gain the momentum to jump upwards again. It blasts me again, but I endure even if it is a bit painful. The blast actually makes me jump up faster, and before Thor can react, I'd hit him with the blunt side of the sword. He joins the Destroyer on the ground. I casually fall down on the ground before slashing and hacking away at the Destroyer. Fighting URU with URU will normally not be very effective, but I have an Infinity Stone, you robot freak. Parts of the Destroyer get sent flying and it opens its face to shoot me again. My danger sense lets me avoid the blast, but I get sent flying by a burst of lightning that gets sent from above. I grunt and stand up. Smart move to send the blast at the same time. I thought my danger sense was just pointing out the Destroyer blast. I quickly sprint to Thor, who zapped me with lightning, before engaging him in a fight again. I am relentless in my assault this time, not giving him a chance to counterattack, and every time his lightning comes down, I send a Power Stone blast to cancel it out. Half a minute later I hit him with the blunt side of the sword on the head, sending him flying towards the grievously mauled Destroyer. I turn around to see Hela in the distance sending a Necrosword through Odin's chest. I am not sure even my mother would be able to heal the necrotic damage if he somehow manages to leave. She begins dragging him by the cape to where I am before throwing him into the pile where the rest are lying. I see you've finished tending to the riffraff. Hela says. Yep. Not going to finish him off. I ask. He will die anyway. My magic is already attacking him from the inside. I want to send him back so that his people will see him dying like a weakling. Hela says before taking out a sling ring and opening a portal. I take one last look at our fallen enemies. Magni is ballless, Thor has a massive concussion at best, Odin is dying, and the destroyer looks like it belongs in a junkyard. All in all, we've had quite a productive day, I'd say. We walked through the portal and ended up in our bedroom on Perfectum. She immediately collapsed on the bed, staining the sheets with her own blood as well as Odin's. I could only stare as she desecrated my bed before moving forward and healing her. I am honestly surprised he reacted so fast and with such aggressiveness. I say as I heal her. She groaned in satisfaction as the wounds began cleaning and stitching themselves up. I am surprised he didn't send an army this time. If he attacks us with an entire army at his back, it would make him look weak. Thousands to fight just the two of us? Well, you see why he won't be pulling such an act. What did you do to my nephew that had him screaming so much? Nephew? Ah, you mean Magni the ballless. Well, I just taught him why you shouldn't antagonize your betters. It was my familial responsibility as his uncle. No need to praise me. I spanked her when I finished the healing process. Now get up, you're ruining my bed. She saunters off to what I assume to be the bath. I am in need of relaxing too, so I may just join. I don't look forward to the repercussions of this day's events. It's like homework, I know I can handle it, but I don't really want to deal with it. Thor POV, rage fills me as I watch the two leave. I look at my injured son and father. My rage increases towards them and myself. Them for hurting my loved ones and myself for being too weak to stop them. Lightning coursed through my skin and one of my famous uncontrolled element blasts came from my hand towards the spot they were. Loki was right, not learning to control my powers properly would one day be the death of me. The Bifrost appears and we are back in the observatory. The guards rushed towards us, and I could barely make out the shouting that was going on above me. Knowing I was safe for the moment, I allowed myself to fall asleep. When I wake up, I find I am in one of the soul forges. I quickly exited the device and Air quickly made her way towards me. She had a worried expression and I could basically feel the solemnity of the room. My prince, you may not have the worst injury but you still have to rest, Air advised. What about my father and son? Magni will live. She says uncomfortably. The Allfather's injuries, I am afraid, are more severe. I grimaced. Show me. As you wish, my prince. I follow her as she leads me towards my father. I force down my frown as I see my mother standing nearby the soul forge that my father is lying in. The thing highlights my father's physiology, making me see something slowly spreading inside his body. My mother looks worried. I move towards her and take her hand in mine and squeeze it reassuringly. Will he be all right? I ask. The man in question opens his eyes and coughs. No. I don't believe so. Hela won't let me off so easily. Who is she? Your sister, my firstborn. Let me tell you the story of my conquest for the 9 realms. When I arrived in my room after my father's long tale of who Hela is and how they conquer the realms, I was left feeling conflicted. On one hand, my father lied to me for years and condemned my sister to a fate worse than death. On the other hand, he described her as someone full of bloodlust and a maniac who slaughtered the entirety of the Valkyries. Am I not the same as her? Loki always said I was battle-hungry. Would my father imprison me as well if I no longer conformed to his wishes? I ignore the frightening thought. I go toward my bed and dive in headfirst. My thoughts then went to my son. The warrior who toyed with me has cut off Magni's balls with excellent precision, evading the shaft perfectly. I honestly don't know if I should be thankful for him not killing my son or angry for what he did. The sky rumbling confirms my emotions for me. Sif POV, my heart broke when I heard the news about my son. They can't even heal him since apparently his aggressor had a weapon with a unique power source that prevented them from regrowing what Magni lost. Not even his grandmother, one of the best magic users of Asgard, can recover what my son has lost. The other option would be his cousin Elsa, but from what I know, she didn't thoroughly study the healing arts. That leaves Loki, my short-time lover, one who I slept with behind Thor's back. Loki has a superiority complex that is unfortunately not completely unfounded, and as much as I don't want to admit it, he is a better lover than Thor. If anyone would be able to heal my son, then it would be him. Unfortunately, he barely hides his distaste for my son. To be honest, I don't even think he is trying to hide it, since, going by our erotic nights in our youth, he could fool the best of the entire court about what was really happening between us. The problem, however, lies in the fact that Loki would be a pain to find. Heimdall certainly can't, since Thor told me that the Mun just shows up randomly as if he owns the place and leaves the next day without informing us. Loki POV, an irritating noise wakes me up. I disentangle myself from the cuddly Hela and go to one of the artifacts I created, which is basically a magical voicemail. I play the voice message. Odin, your father has passed away this evening and Magni has been injured. Thor's coronation will be held soon as well as the funeral for Odin. My mother spoke solemnly. I thought she would ask me to come heal him, to be honest. Guess she doubted my ability, or Odin asked her not to and wanted to die so that she could dump all the responsibility on Budget Zeus. Odin should have invented a Google equivalent so that he could look up parenting advice. If he did that, he could probably have lived hundreds or thousands of years longer. I don't usually go to the funerals of those I helped get killed. A cruel move I haven't pulled yet, how rare. Reminds me of those teabagging bastards, though, who mocked my death in video games afterwards. I have become what I hated. I should just die. Standing in front of a mirror, I practice my stoic grieving face. Odin's death reminded me of the very real possibility of my more beloved family members dying. Unfortunately, Valhalla is little more than a fairy tale in this universe of mine. Damn, if I was born on Earth 616, there would be a shit ton more opportunity, and I would be an actual god instead of just a strong alien with magic. I have digressed. After this affair, I should probably look into creating my own afterlife. This means I would also need to create a dimension that is able to house all those souls. Since I don't want people on Perfectum. My musings are interrupted by Hela giving me a hug from behind. What are you doing? I have a funeral to attend soon, so if you're attempting to seduce me, you will ultimately fail. Can't I comfort my grieving lover? Your father did recently die. Our father. I corrected. How do you feel about that, though? You are the more sensitive one when it comes to relationships. I was surprised to find out Hela wasn't a sociopath at the time. In the movies, she tried to kill her siblings, but it makes sense that she has no qualms about killing them since she hardly knows them. Odin is a different story, though. She was raised by the Mun and loved him at one point many centuries before their infighting. I let her release me from her hug and embraced her properly. Not as good as I expected. I hate myself for being a little sad that I killed him. Don't get me wrong, I feel satisfied too. Whoever created emotions was a rascal. You're right, but it is better than being an emotionless freak. I would have committed suicide if I were one. Or maybe not, since I wouldn't be able to feel depressed. Plus it's not like you won't be seeing Odin ever again. Maybe in a few decades or centuries I'll mess around with time travel and will need a companion to take on adventures with me. So I can kill Odin all over again? That wouldn't be too bad. We relaxed in each other's arms for a few moments before I laid a loving kiss on her forehead and said my goodbyes. The funeral was as grand as what you'd expect from a king dying. Millions of Asgardians attended the ceremony. The army of Asgard has been on high alert since Thor came back. Most likely expecting Hela to show up and try and claim her throne. Not that they have to worry about my wayward lover, since she won't do that. Life with no responsibilities is tempting even for the most diligent blokes, let alone a hedonist like Hela. Only a few select people know about Hela's involvement in their king's death. My family announced that Odin died because of old age, much to Hela's chagrin because she wanted them to know she kicked his butt. When I got back to the palace, I was intercepted by my loving daughter. Father. She called out to me and I approached her. Seeing there is something bothering her, I quickly cast an anti-scrying spell. What is it, my little icicle? Right before grandfather's death, I got an emergency transmission from him and he asked me to join him to fight. Mother picked up the transmission though, so I didn't know until it was too late. Is this related to his death? Is everyone mind-controlled? Interesting theory, but fortunately everyone is sound of mind. I recently got your aunt out of her prison and your grandfather didn't particularly like it. And going by whose funeral we are attending, you can tell the victor. Oh, aren't you upset? I don't have to worry about her being upset since Hela was practically a second mother to her and Odin a distant grandfather since she rarely visited Asgard. To think he would call in my daughter to fight his battles. What's worse is one that he knows he couldn't win. Guy has balls of steel, and if I found out my daughter had died, I would have raised him from the dead just to kill him personally. I will have to reward my elven MILF since she stopped my daughter from going. No, I value Hela's life far more than Odin's. I am canceling the spell out so the discussion will end now. We catch up and chat for a while. Before we are bothered by Sif, Thor's fiancée. I guess recent events led to Thor finally deciding to ask the big question. Loki, may I ask for a favor? Sif asked. I would love to get you in my debt, but I already know your question, and as much as it pains me to admit, I don't currently have the abilities to heal your son's balls. Not true, but I want him to go ballless for a few more months. I understand. If anything changes, I would greatly appreciate it. Sif sadly walks away. If I were younger and didn't have two great waifus, I would heal her son to get into her pants. I already took Thor's father. I see no reason to take his future wife too. I guess I messed up any chance of Thor becoming an Avenger since I doubt he would go lollygagging with the crown of Asgard on his head. I spend the next week in Asgard. In that time Thor's coronation happened, and this time no frost giants invaded through me. Instead the bastards decided since Asgard lost its previous kings, why not start a full-scale war? Of course, they aren't attacking yet, just sending out a few troops and engaging in skirmishes. Thor isn't happy about this turn of events and is close to going all out with war. The only thing stopping him is his caution of his big sister. I expected it to happen, but to be honest, it is quite annoying to deal with. I am honestly contemplating pulling a Morag and destroying Jotunheim too. That would give me away as the Power Stone user, though. This gives me an opportunity to kill Loki for throwing me away. I can still remember those months of hell in that temple. The coldness wasn't a problem. My slow starvation was such that I could extract some nutrition from the cold, but it wasn't filling in the least. I am currently back on Earth getting all my businesses in order. Asgard currently has defenses to not allow people to trespass into the realm, so I am assuming Loki will target Midgard since it is by far the weakest realm. Yeah, it has nukes, but even though Jotunheim is fairly primitive, they can somewhat defend against them. Parabellum. Prepare for war. I guess Hela was right. I lament. To be fair, she thought Odin would send an army after us, not counting on the Jotuns to start one. Still, my pride took a blow. Speak of the devil, I say as my sister/lover entered the room. You were thinking about me. How romantic. She joked. Well, I am a passionate person. Why are you here, though? I wanted to ask which side of the war we are on. Is that even a question? One side has your father and your entire race, and the other your adopted family. I just had to make sure. I haven't seen Loki since I was a baby. If I were to see him any time after, it would be with him dead. Why would you even want to fight against Asgard? You passively grow stronger if Asgard thrives. They forgot me. I fought and conquered the 9 realms for them, and they had the nerve to simply forget me. That was Odin's fault. It was, but it would have made Odin's job harder, if not impossible, if they had put more energy into resisting forgetting me. So I don't care what happens to them. So long as I have you, I am content. Come here. I just pat my lap. She doesn't hesitate and is immediately on me. I leave the room with a well-screwed Hela on the bed. Since I am in such a good mood, I believe I won't unnecessarily destroy Jotunheim. I am on my way towards Jotunheim. One portal later and I am in the wasteland I first arrived at when I was reborn. I transformed into my Jotun form and began walking towards Loki's palace. Just transforming into my Jotun form wouldn't cut it since I am only 6 feet 3 inches, so I upgraded my height to 8 feet. My plan is simple: mess with my father's mind. I can't just simply order him to stop the war in its entirety because then the others will overthrow him. Seeing him as weak, and then I would have to do it all over again. Loki is powerful compared to Frost Giant standards, but an army can still kill him. I could do a prolonged infiltration where I make everyone of note accept my orders. I was just going to spend a day on that plan to stop a war, but then again, I have an opportunity to ruin my old man's life. It took me a while to reach Loki's headquarters. After I was tired of walking, I just changed into a bird and flew to the location. You wouldn't think a king could live in such a place. After Odin stole the Casket of Winters, the entire planet began to deteriorate. In the 1,000 years since the theft, the place now looks like a wet dream for hobos. Now, I just have to see which one of Loki's followers I should kill and replace. I have been here for 3 days and have properly adapted to the giant life. I even met and sparred with my brothers. Of course, they don't know I am their brother, but the entire court, if you can even call it that, views me as Alvati. I chose to kill and read his memories just because his name means all-powerful. Truly, my ego astounds. My quest so far has been successful since I am slowly but surely making sure these blue freaks don't want to wage war. Something I don't like is that I wanted a henchman to do my work for me, and here I am doing Asgard's work. Unfortunately, if I don't stop this, then the next months won't be fun. There aren't a lot of people equipped for this mission either, so there is that problem too. My musings are interrupted by my half-brother Helblindi, who swung his sword at me. You will have to be better than that, my prince. I began sparring with the twerp since there isn't much else to do. Don't underestimate me, I am the strongest son of Loki. Only because your brother isn't particularly strong either. I mocked, causing him to growl at me and attack me with even greater fervor. Truly a glorious place this is that I can antagonize a prince and not be executed. From the original Alvati's memories, Loki lets his children handle their bullies and schemers on their own, and if they can't, he calls them weak. I am astounded how I never got a Father of the Year coffee cup or card if dipshits like this exist. I give the brat a quick beating before moving on to spar with the rest of the warriors. The fools think they will be fighting a war soon. The other thing I am doing is subtly flirting with Loki's new wife. She was a 6'8", exotic, buxom beauty. It was easy to entice her since she doesn't love Loki, only the power he represents. Her fear of Loki is the only reason we haven't smashed yet. I am planning to send my father away so I can do it soon though. As a good son, I believe it is my duty to give my father a green hat. Currently, Loki and I are in a private room. I asked for a meeting for a genius idea I have. So what is this grand idea you have? We go to Muspelheim to gather allies for the war. Although Surtur himself can't leave the realm, his army can. I say with a bit of mind magic to make my offer more enticing. Better idea, try and strong-arm him into fighting for you. We are better than them, and they deserve to be subordinate to us. Although I loathe that fiery realm, it isn't worse than Asgard. Brilliant plan, Alvati. The mind-enticed Jotun gleefully said. I just hold back my grin. They wanted to start a war with Asgard, and now they are going to start it with Muspelheim. As Loki makes preparations for his subjugation of Surtur, I make my way towards my stepmother's quarters. I make sure the guards don't see me enter with a touch of magic. On the bed sat Angrboda, wife of Loki. She was scantily dressed in terms of Frost Giant standards. Alvati, what a pleasant surprise. Does my husband know you are here? I am afraid he is rather occupied, so I felt it was my duty as his subordinate to make sure his wife's needs are met. They should call you Alvati the Bold, but your logic is sound. I have been rather pent up, and I need a strong man to keep me company. I do hope for our sake that my husband doesn't find out what happened here tonight. She says as she completely disrobes. My clothes are undone just as fast as hers, and we are engaged in a heated kiss. The next hours of hot rutting flow by in a haze, with me making sure my seed lands in all her holes. As I leave the room, I think about how I truly am a generous son. I gave my father's wife a son she could love. Loki POV, after listening to Alvati's wise counsel, I began to plan out my conquest of Muspelheim before moving on to dish out vengeance against the Asgardians. I don't know much about Surtur, but I know that Odin weakened him enough, so he shouldn't be much of a problem. It took a few days to rally a few thousand bloodthirsty warriors. They were already ready for a fight, so it wasn't very hard to assemble them. Alvati also led me to a secret path between the worlds that we could use to ambush Muspelheim and then use to attack Asgard. My army moved through the secret path, and we hastily arrived on the fiery planet, much to our distaste. I would normally question my chances of beating them, but Alvati gave me a gift that was stolen many moons ago by Odin. I didn't even question how he got it. Alvati just has this trustworthy aura that I believe even the most cynical people wouldn't doubt. Surtur, surrender and serve obediently. I would hate to waste good men on scum like you. I announce for all to hear. Who dares? A loud voice bellows out. We didn't arrive too far away from Surtur. He is currently sitting on his throne looking furious. Not that I care, it is like Alvati said, these creatures are below us. Loki, king of Jotunheim. Serve under me so that we can lay waste to Asgard. Refuse, and I will subjugate you myself before moving on to my main target. Your corpse will serve as a great gift before I ruin Asgard myself. He says. I offered mercy, scum, but I see you are as foolish as the rest of your moronic species. For Jotunheim. I say before watching my army charge against their barbaric units. Taking out the casket, I begin beaming ice blasts at my foes. Loki POV, munching on some buttered popcorn, I watch as the frost giants fight the resident fire demons of Muspelheim. This hot planet is probably the worst planet Loki could choose to fight on, since they have a weakness to fire. He is lucky Surtur is in a weakened state. Otherwise he would die quicker than Thanos can snap his fingers. I loaned him the casket of ancient winters to give the poor guy a fighting chance. I have long since put sufficient enchantments on it so I can get it back by just thinking about it. To think I just turned Loki racist. Before, he may have had some distaste for fire demons. Now, he believes them to be something to subjugate. Mind magic is truly frightening. Currently, Loki is fighting against a fire dragon. Surtur hasn't even moved, still sitting on his throne, showing his dominance in such a classy way. With my casket, he can fight the dragon to a standstill. Not bad since, in Thor Ragnarok, Thor just ran from the dragon. Not that I doubt Thor's prowess. He could have beaten it if he truly wanted. Ice blasts continued to damage and slow down the dragon. The dragon counterattacked with its blazing flames. Having gotten tired of dealing with the beast, Loki commanded a few giant frost beasts to engage with the dragon. He moved forward towards Surtur and immediately used the casket to fire ice spheres towards the giant fire demon. Surtur counterattacked with his own fire beam. I just watched the two fight while continuing to eat my popcorn. I feel Heimdall's gaze on me a second later, and I just give the gatekeeper a wave before enjoying the show once more. If one lives as long as I, you should learn to enjoy the little things. Thor POV, what is it, Heimdall? I ask. Has Loki sent the army they were preparing for the last few days? Yes and no, my king, Heimdall said, making me confused. They sent the army out and are now engaging Muspelheim. Are they working together? No, my king. They are fighting. I do not know how this came to be, but I know it has something to do with Prince Loki. How is Loki involved? I say as I feel another headache coming on. He is eating food while enjoying how they fight. Heimdall says bemusedly. Of course he is. Send half of the army to Jotunheim. This is the perfect chance to attack. It would have been nice if Loki could have given us a bit of forewarning. I say before sarcastically adding. But no, I am too badass to need anyone's help. I always thought his name as god of magic was apt, and not the god of chaos. Guess I was proven incorrect. Mother says, amused. Loki POV, seeing Loki about to be defeated, I stand up to do my familial duty. Sneaking up to Surtur, I behead him with swordom without him being able to react. You must be Loki. A pleasure to finally be able to meet. I say with my best smile. Who are you? Forgot me already. You aren't a very good father. I say mockingly. He growls at me. I don't remember mating with an Asgardian. 965 AD. You threw me away and had my mother killed. I have to thank you, though. I prefer being a prince of Asgard to that wasteland you call home. The small whelp. I remember now. Good, because you won't do much remembering where you are going. He tries to fire the casket at me, only to find out it won't work. I will be taking that back, I say as the casket floats back into my hand again. He creates an ice sword and tries to charge me, only to find he can't move. Stop this sorcery and fight me like a mun. Truly a shame. I wanted you to raise the son I gave your wife, I say before touching his head and showing him the memory of my lovely night with his wife. You. He growls out, unable to hide his rage. This has been a nice reunion, but I will have to cut it short, I say as Sordom flies towards him and beheads him. I whistle as I walk through the battlefield, killing anyone that gets in my way. I am officially an orphan, I say cheerfully as I rampage through fire demons and frost giants alike. A moment later, a giant snake arrives and picks up Surtur's remains before joining me in committing genocide. In a rare bout of non-stupidity, the Jotuns and fire demons chose to stop fighting and combine forces to fight the current biggest threat. So now Jormungandr and I are up against thousands of these people. We spent the rest of the day having fun with the rest of the cannon fodder. Nothing says family bonding like committing pseudo-genocide. After we were done with our recreational activity, we teleported to Asgard to figure out how it was doing. Apparently, Thor decided to invade Jotunheim while I was busy distracting their better soldiers. Thor's objective is only to cull their numbers a bit and show the rest of the 9 realms that Asgard isn't weak. Currently, I am enjoying spending time with my mother at one of my personal spas on Earth. It took a while to get her to accept, since she felt she didn't have the time to relax because of recent events. Being the good son that I was, I obviously couldn't accept that outcome. I got her husband killed. It is the least that I can do. We were in a massage session in a single room with 2 massage beds. Hearing her let out a satisfying moan as one of the knots in her body is taken care of, I gain a smug smile. See, mother. I told you, you wouldn't regret this outing. How do they compare to Asgardian masseuses? I say, not caring that the staff can hear since I use the equivalent of a notice me not spell on what we are saying. Surprisingly well. I had no idea that Midgardians were so advanced. Frigga says. Well, if you have such a short lifespan, you usually try to make the most of it. Asgardians tend not to work as hard, seeing as they can gradually learn something over the decades. Unlike you, who was always passionate about learning everything in the shortest time frame possible. The funny thing is you always complained about how lazy you were when you were more hardworking compared to most people on Asgard. I often compared my diligence to Heimdall's, and you can see how my scale of it got skewed. How can you compare to someone who does his job every hour of the day for thousands of years? True. So how has life been the last couple of years? Frigga asks me as she lets out another moan, another not getting worked out of her. Not much. Started working on a business and am currently uplifting their entertainment sector to higher levels. I made myself an orphan. I guess that is interesting. You personally killed Loki? She asked, shocked. Of course. He is lucky I let him live this long. I can accept him throwing me away, but he killed my biological mother. Not that I care about her. But she was mine, and I won't have people thinking that they can touch what is mine and get away with it. We stop talking for a few minutes before Frigga replies. Your possessiveness makes you weirdly protective, my son. Quite frankly, it's adorable. I am not adorable. I am perfection made flesh. At least that was what Loki's new wife probably thought as I gave her my child. What? She asks bemused. I am perfection made flesh. I play the naive game. The last part. Frigga said sternly. Oh, I might expect another child. She was so nice as to let me get my revenge on Loki by giving him what the Midgardians call a green hat. So I thought I would leave her a gift. Since there is no greater gift than being able to carry a Lokazan or Lokadaughter, I elected to give her one. She sighs. What am I going to do with you? Poor Elsa, she has to deal with you on a weekly basis. Actually, it's every other day that I visit her. Plus she was my first major lover. I blame my corruption solely on her, so she has to deal with the consequences. I am sure that is not true. You were always a deviant child. You would always use illusions to impersonate random people. By the ripe age of 12, you were already committing identity theft and fraud. We spent the rest of the evening keeping each other company before departing. I made my way back to my building, where my henchwoman awaited. If it isn't my favorite living Russian. I greeted Yelena. Living. She replies. Yeah. I met a fine Russian queen back in the day. Someone actually turned our adventure into a song. She was an empress or czarina, but the song described her as a queen. Sure they did. Let me guess, it was called Rasputin. She says sarcastically. Yes. You are so smart. I knew there was a reason I kidnapped you. You're joking, right? You're Rasputin. Not joking, actually. It was quite fun. All I had to do was heal the Empress's son and she was smitten with me. That was just the latest line of emperors I cuckolded. Try not to be too overwhelmed by my majesty. I am just going to go drink a glass of whiskey, in case you are going to reveal something that could give me a heart attack, like if you were Gandhi. Nelson Mandela, actually. You humans are stupid with your thoughts of superiority because of your skin colors. It's not like you get special abilities like otherworlders. I say. The reason I actually posed as Nelson Mandela is because I butterflied him out of existence, and out of nostalgia I decided to improve my previous home country. My memory doesn't allow my feelings about things to be forgotten or dissipate, so I decided to fix the segregation. Apartheid would have been stopped in due time, maybe years or a decade after the original date, without my involvement, but I can be heroic sometimes, and I was in the mood. Oh. He is still alive. She asks, just a clone. Check your phone. She does. Her eyes widen as she gets a DM from the Mun himself. She looks back up at me and then at the phone. I just shoot her my signature smug smile. I am thinking about killing him off in a few years. It was fun playing a president while it lasted. My boss is a god. She says in a low voice. To think I didn't believe it until now. I just enjoy seeing the disbelieving super spy. I don't have to worry about giving the little details about myself, since she is completely loyal due to the new brain I gave her. Plus, it's not like those details are something I view as important. Creating an afterlife, as you can imagine, isn't a very fun activity and is frankly almost impossible for the average magic user. Playing God usually doesn't end well for people. Ask the original me or Thanos, who got himself snapped by a Mun with a nanotech suit. Unfortunately, pride is my main sin, so you can see why I would nosedive right into the activity. The first thing to create is a dimension, and I know the perfect location. A mirror world on Perfectum will do, or close enough since I don't want my dead souls to see what happens on Perfectum. I will have to change the place up. There are dozens of ways to create a dimension, but rituals are an easy and efficient way. I already have a sacrifice in mind. The abomination is powerful enough to be the sacrifice for the ritual, and now I just need to find him. Oracle, call our little spy. I need the whereabouts of that guy who ruined Harlem. I say. Your command shall be swiftly fulfilled. The ever-loyal AI states. A few hours later, Yelena comes into my office. I had a chair open for her, and being the obedient follower she is, she immediately sits. What do you need, boss? I need to find out where the abomination is. You can either infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D. to find where he is located or secure some of his blood so I can use a locator spell. The first option will be difficult, and I doubt his blood is just hanging around. I take a bracelet out of the drawer and hand it to her. This will allow you to shapeshift into any person you can think of. Make good use of it. Got it. This won't take too long then. Nice job. You jinxed it. Now I have to wait weeks. I sigh. Don't believe in silly superstitions. It will be fine. She waves off. I am God. Of course I believe in fate. Doesn't mean I let it dictate me. I sent her off on the mission while being bummed that the bastards didn't keep the info on their network. A smart move, since I would wreck them in cyber warfare. Luckily, I have a pet assassin to do my job for me. Maybe I should let a clone work at S.H.I.E.L.D., but then it would just give information that I can get through hacking them anyway. When a week passed without getting the location, I knew Murphy's Law had kicked in. Damn you, Yelena, why couldn't you keep your mouth shut? Luckily a few hours later, she came back with the location. One quick teleport to Vault, a cryocell located at a facility in Barrow, Alaska, and I had my sacrifice. I wish I had a TV screen to watch the soldiers' reactions to the disappearing monster. I am currently on Perfectum with the ugly monster cursing at me. He was in a ritual circle with a powerful barrier around him that was impossible for him to break, not that he wouldn't stop trying. As much as I love listening to your voice, Emily. Could you be quiet? I am trying to make sure your sacrifice is perfect. Let me out of here and I won't kill you too badly. Why would I? You're going to help me create heaven. Don't worry, your noble sacrifice won't be forgotten. I say as I continue drawing the ritual and putting the necessary ingredients where it is. You son of a whore. As an orphan, I am deeply offended by your words. Ever watch Harry Potter? The inspiration for this spell comes from it. I say as I cast an equivalent of the Crucio curse. Watching the thing squirm in pain filled me with pleasure. I don't like when people insult what is mine. I was just going to kill him, but I think I want him to be the first person who will enter my hell. One torture session later, I end the schmuck's life and watch as my dimension forms. It was far bigger than my little portable planet thanks to space magic, and I removed the effect that let people see perfectum from here. I don't want souls to see my secrets or me boning Hela or anyone else. I am not an exhibitionist. Fortunately, not everyone from the known universe will be able to enter my little afterlife, only people with my mark. I marked Abomination, also known as Emily Blondie. I prefer this and not his old name. He is the first resident of the punishment half of my afterlife. There is only one other resident currently, but he is in the nicer area. The place is divided, so no resident of hell will meet a resident of heaven. Those are just temporary names since I don't have a good naming sense and don't currently have access to Google Random Name Generator. Teleporting towards the heaven area, I'm met by an old man with only one eye. Only he looks like a 30-year-old Midgardian and has both his eyes. Loki. Odin said. Father. How do you like the place? It's better than Oblivion, I hope. Where is this place? How am I healed, and how am I alive? Nirvana, or at least it will be when I add more features. Healed isn't the right word, more like dead and in the afterlife, my afterlife to be exact. I see. Odin said with a thoughtful expression. You have come a long way from the baby I picked up. Creating things of wonder, I suppose creating an afterlife isn't out of the question for you. Flattery will get you nowhere. I may have created this place, but resurrection is not one of my abilities. I lied. I could put his soul in a new body, but why would I? I already saved him from oblivion, since I doubt Valhalla is an actual place here. My familial duty is done. If my mother dies one day, she would be happy that Odin is here, unless she moves on, then it would just be awkward. Not that I planned for my mother to die. I am immortal and extremely possessive. Not even death can take the things that belong to me. My job as king of Asgard is done. I will have Thor take care of it from now on. Tell me about matters after my death. I spent the hour updating him about Asgard's affairs. I don't have to worry about him somehow leaving. Only I can use magic here, and that magic is currently being used to create golems and homunculi for the residents of Nirvana and the Abyss. I finally thought of two generic names that make sense, so I am satisfied. Weddings are boring. That is a universal opinion. I would say it's a fact, but there are probably people with threateningly low intelligence who think the opposite. You have to waste hours of your day and pretend to be happy for someone, or sometimes you don't. This time I was at least moderately happy for the groom. Why? Because it's my brother's wedding. It doesn't make it less boring, though. Usually, I would look smug because I slept with a bride while the couple was in a relationship, but since it's someone I grew up with, I won't be too much of a bastard. The king finally got himself a queen. I am surprised their relationship lasted so long, to be honest. Since Thor isn't the most faithful person, sure, he isn't Zeus level, but still, he sometimes beds random women when drunk, and poor little Sif is too in love to care for long. Congratulations, brother. I never would have thought that you would have gotten hitched. Guess being king gifted you with a few extra positive traits. Thanks, brother. Although I would rescind that claim of being king. It's so restricting. I wish father could have forced you to take the position. Thor said. Nope. I am way too young to turn my lifestyle into a stressful mess. When you are busy with paperwork, just know that I will be enjoying my time in hedonistic bliss. I really want to summon Mjolnir to bash your head in because you're bragging. I am not supposed to become sad at my wedding. Oh, I have a wedding gift by the way, I say as I hand him a flask. This elixir not only increases the lifespan of a person but also heals as well. Unfortunately, it can't heal Magni. Usually, the Power Stone wouldn't have stopped the healing process, but the wielder somehow managed to use it in a corruptive manner. I would love to pick his mind about it. I created the elixir quite a while ago and have already given a dose to my mother, without her knowing, though, since I am afraid she will say no. I honestly don't understand people who don't use easy life extending methods. If you want to die later, just kill yourself. Don't stubbornly refuse it because of pride. You have no need to give me such a precious gift, but I know if I refuse, you would go on about how with your genius you could easily create more. Wow, you make it sound like I have an ego, I say in a mock-offended tone. I don't believe I am incorrect, though, Thor says. Well, you have an ego too. It is expected from a prince or king, though. Just as it is expected of someone this close to perfection to be egoistic, I say as I point to myself. I sigh for a moment before talking. I am going to miss the good days where I could just send you on my errands around the 9 realms, or our little adventures on random planets. It's not like we can't go. We would just have to be sneaky about it. You are suggesting the stealthy option. Who are you and what did you do with Thor? I joke. Seriously though, congratulations. Maybe you take inspiration from me and marry your elven beauty. Thor suggested. And be king? Never. I am too adventurous to do a job for thousands of years. I will wait until Elsa dumps the position on Elsa's lap before even thinking about such things. I fear no one but responsibility. That concept scares me. Why do you think that there aren't more little Lokis running around? I spent more time chatting with Thor before going to the mead dispenser. It's not a proper Asgardian wedding if everyone isn't drunk by the end of the night. The night ended when I used the Omnitrix to summon a Lovecraftian outer god-type creature I personally created. It tried eating people, but luckily the king and I were on duty. I gave the command to stop, but let's just say a few Asgardians are going to have nightmares for a few days. It is for reasons like these that I only drink on special occasions. I am already a wreck with my full inhibitions, but with alcohol whisking that away, I am frankly a nightmare. When I got home, I thought it would be prudent to rest the next few days. My newest hobby is game designing, so that is what I spent my time on when I wasn't balls deep in Hela. Oracle handles the coding, while I do the 3D modeling of characters and the environment. Art was always calming, and using that to create what is one of the best things that was ever created, video games, is just plain satisfying. I recently released a free open-source game engine and 3D modeling software. It's not nearly as good as mine, but still better than what they have come up with. Some people would think that it is a dumb business move and I can agree with that, but I welcome the competition. If they make good games, I get to enjoy myself playing the good games. I win no matter what. I don't care about the money, I care about the entertainment. I am already busying myself with the creation of The Last of Us and God of War 4. I just do the story and 3D modeling. The games for me were quite enjoyable, but that is not to say they are perfect. I want to add a co-op mode since the games have their sidekicks who are with them most of the time. As a cultured person who prefers using a PC, I will spite PlayStation by not selling the game on their platforms. See how they like it. Maybe I am still salty because of me having to play games on a console that could only support 60 frames per second. The games won't take too long, since I have clones and the ability to shapeshift, so I am not lacking actors, and I have an AI who could do more programming in a minute than what an expert coder could do in a week. I am basically living life on cheat mode at this point. While contentedly working on the game, Oracle notified me. Sir, Tony Stark has been found. I just smile at the news of my favorite superheroes getting ready to take the leap into that foolish self-sacrificing business of theirs. You want me to do what? I asked the person who practically begged my secretary for a meeting. I'm asking for you to sell your shares to Stark Industries. Obadiah Stane said. After Tony's announcement, a lot of people sold their shares, and I thought it prudent to buy them. So Stark Industries' temporary CEO wants that temporary title gone. It's a shame you weren't fast enough to buy all the shares. I wonder who was the bastard who bought them up. I say, provoking him. It was you. He said while trying to stop his jaws from clenching in anger. Unfortunately, dear old Stain didn't have perfect body control, and I am an experienced empath. If you sell me a few of your shares, I could make you a rich man. Well, richer man. As much as I love Tony. After what he suffered, I am afraid he will make bad decisions for the company, causing us to lose more money. He already shut down the weapons manufacturing department, which was one of our main income sources. Your advice is sound, but I am sure Stark can manage. You should have more faith in your boss. To be honest, I wouldn't have faith in him either if I didn't have access to the time stone occasionally. I have known Yao for years, so she allowed me to experiment pretty frequently. If the company didn't profit from Stark's self-made inventions, he would have been booted out a long time ago. I have faith as a longtime friend, it's just that I need to be more pragmatic when it comes to the business. Selling my shares would be incredibly stupid since I would lose a lot of money. You will lose even more money if the company goes bankrupt because of Tony doing something stupid. I just hummed non-committally. The guy did have a point. Tony did give his company to a secretary in the future. Of course, that is only because he thought he would die, so he wanted it to go to someone trustworthy. The bald trader tried to haggle for the rest of the meeting, but I was just amused by his attempts. I hope you won't regret your decision when Stark Industries goes bankrupt or be surprised when your investment fails massively. Wow, really classy trying to threaten me. I doubt he would try and assassinate me since I am too high profile, but this is the same guy who wanted to kill Tony Stark, so you never know. Yelena POV. Creating a criminal kingdom for a god is easier said than done. Why a god like Loki would want to even create a criminal business with his power is anyone's guess. I was currently in one of his famous nightclubs that he allowed me to use for operations, reading reports about our local brothels. One of the customers had gotten rather aggressive with one of the girls. Loki's policy is that the comfort and safety of the prostitutes are more important than a bunch of horny people, so it was a somewhat delicate issue. Something that I can respect, to be honest. While I was hanging out with Loki, I asked what he would do. His answer was to either cut off the guy's balls or kill him. Let's just say I am not asking him for advice again. Our business reputation would go to shit if the customers lost their balls. As I continued going through the work, I felt an unnatural chill in the room. My hand goes to my gun holster and I quickly whip out the advanced pistol Loki gave me. Who's there? I ask cautiously. So you're my father's newest pet? That's a shame, you really are cute, a gorgeous blonde woman probably in her early 20s says. Her ears were slightly pointy and she had beautiful green eyes that reminded me of Loki. Pet? I ask in an offended tone. I may be his henchwoman, but I am certainly not his pet. Don't feel too bad, my dad is the greatest owner. Or are you his girlfriend? I really can't tell with him. The name is Elsa, by the way. Elsa Loki daughter. I don't know why, but I don't feel threatened by her, nor do I wish to harm her. Maybe it is because of the fact that she could be Loki's daughter? Unknown to me, it is because of the influence of the fruit that gave me my power. The computer Loki gave me switches on and the familiar presence of Oracle appears. Hello, young mistress, I see you found a new method of annoying your father. I am not annoying him, I am just getting to know his friends. The blonde retorts. Isn't that right, Yelena, I answer. You don't even know her name, Oracle replies. That is because you interrupted me from getting to know her. I had to interfere, otherwise you would have gotten shot. Fair, but I wouldn't have gotten hurt. Her weapon was given to her by your father. Oh. So I would have died if I'd gotten hit. She asks. No, your father isn't so reckless as to hand away a weapon that can kill someone of your caliber, Oracle says. Though I'll have to report you to your father. He will punish you for your arrogance. After what happened to your cousin, he is certain to get you to be more cautious. Right, I am certain my father is very sad about what happened to poor Magni, Elsa says sarcastically. Oracle disconnects, and now I am left with a centuries-old woman. The silence is awkward for me, and if it wasn't for my training, I would certainly be overwhelmed. Aren't you thousands of years old? Why would your father still punish you? I am not nearly as old, and my cousin lost his balls due to him being arrogant. That was different, though, since the person he irritated was as strong as my father. So what is your name again? I want to stop referring to you as Rachel in my head. Yelena. I would say it is nice to meet you, but you are my kidnapper's daughter. I am sure you don't mind the kidnapping too much. I feel that you are already suffering from a healthy dose of Stockholm Syndrome. Elsa says. I hate the fact that she's right. How did you even know I work for your father? I ask curiously since I am unsure why Loki would tell his daughter about his criminal empire. Unless he is shameless, which is a massive possibility. Oh, my second mother told me about his newest hobby. Second mother? Yeah, she practically raised me alongside my father. So your dad has a harem. It wasn't even a question, I just stated it as a fact. I don't think 2 girls counts as a harem. My father only has 2 permanent lovers. I had a harem once, and it was tedious to emotionally satisfy everyone. If the charming lady couldn't enjoy it, then I doubt my scoundrel of a father can manage. Don't tell him I said that. I am already in the bad books with my mother because of me neglecting my princessly duties. I won't say a word. Cool. Do you want to go to this burger place I found? I know a spell to not gain weight, so you don't have to worry about ruining that figure of yours. My free game engine is already popular and a lot of game developers are switching over to it. I can't wait until gaming becomes one of the most popular things again. I am looking forward to spending the next decade as a shut-in. The Last of Us is already launched and God of War is almost done too. I am working on creating Minecraft, since it was the highest grossing game in my previous life, and I unironically like it. In less interesting news, Obadiah didn't try to assassinate me, he just tried to subtly undermine my business. Unfortunately, the bald bastard got himself killed by a mun who named himself after a mineral. Not that my naming sense is any better. I literally just use a name generator and pick whichever one sounds best. That same person decided to give away his secret identity the next day, like a reckless badass. Guess that is what people mean when they say someone is book smart and not street smart. This is a move I would pull, and I am more durable, so that means I can survive attacks in my civilian identity. It would be pretty stupid if he gets assassinated by the Ten Rings because of that. Dismissing my thoughts of Tony Stark, I move my attention to a rumor I heard back in the day, the Darkhold. To be honest, I thought it was a load of bullshit when I first heard of it because it is stated to have infinite knowledge. I still don't believe in the part about infinite knowledge, but I can still see how useful this artifact can be. The only reason I am even interested in the book is because I spied on Momentum Labs, who wanted to create matter out of nothing. It is a difficult and revolutionary endeavor, and one that I wanted to steal. I mean, to see the progress of. Only to discover the almost corrupted minds of the leaders. Seeing how I am such a good Samaritan, I saw it prudent to relieve them of their possession. Standing over the dead bodies of Joseph and Lucy Bauer, I grabbed the book that would have given them the chance to create matter out of nothing. It tried to corrupt me, but I perfected my mind over the centuries from all sorts of attacks, like psychic or phenomenal attacks. Of course, if I use it too much, it will fully corrode my mind's defense, but that will take a while, and I can just build it up again, which would only take a few hours or days. Opening the book, I am confronted by a well of information, ranging from all sorts of topics from magic to technology. Well, look at that. I feel I have underestimated something extremely juicy. I say before looking at my newest victims. You two really were lucky bastards. If you were magic users, you would have almost become as great as the god Loki. Don't worry though, I will take good care of it. With that, I begin a fire in the house. Letting the police believe it was a simple gas leak, for I have mastered the art of murder, not something one should be proud of really, but unfortunately pride is my greatest sin. I am like a morally corrupt and less cool version of a Skeiner. Wow, I just admitted someone was cooler than myself. I guess I am not as prideful as I thought. I make my way back home and start reading the book. Whilst reading, I come across the myth of the Scarlet Witch in chaos magic. I would lie if I said that I didn't want that power for myself. The problem is the users of chaos magic are practically none, unless you can count Wanda, who doesn't even have powers yet, and I want it for myself and not to arm someone else with a power that can destroy an infinity stone. With that thought in mind, I began reading about magic stealing. I have some knowledge of the art myself, but I am not very proficient, since I have never needed to steal someone else's, and I doubt ordinary magic could even compare to the might that is the probable reality warping that is chaos magic. There go my plans to just enjoy the sight of Thanos trying to steal the rest of the stones. I am not sure the Space Stone would give Wanda her powers. There is a chance that the Power Stone will work. Just need to use the Time Stone to verify, or one of the time spells that I have created by studying the stone. Casting the spell, I I see that it didn't work when I used the Power Stone, and Wanda couldn't survive the usage of the Power Stone on her long enough to activate her powers before blowing up. Sighing, I begin to hope that Thanos invades Earth with the Mind Stone, since I don't really want to go search the universe for him. Maybe I could use the Space Stone to find where they are by directly teleporting to the Mind Stone, since the stones are all connected. I probably shouldn't overreach myself. I don't even know how to steal such a powerful type of magic yet. I sigh yet again, since it seems like I will have to study, and since the book won't allow my clones to read it, I have to do it myself. Enjoy studying the book for the next few days. I cast a self-hypnosis spell. For a lazy bastard such as myself, that spell is a godsend. Madame Gao POV. Someone new is trying to get his share of New York. I would think it cute if it weren't for the funds that their organization has. I would try and work with them if they kept away from the drug trade, but it seems I am dealing with the ambitious type. They are already messing with the Russians' business and now the Hands. It's for reasons like these that I loathe Americans. It's time I show these upstarts how it is done. Nobu, I need you to find out about this new crime faction. If the option is available, I would prefer you subjugate, but elimination is acceptable. I say over the phone to one of the best hand members. I had made massive progress learning the art of magic borrowing. The Darkhold is truly a frightening thing when in capable hands. Imagine Thanos or Malekith finding it. The world is truly lucky a benevolent being such as myself has found it. I also have good news and bad news on the case of Wanda unlocking her potential. The good news is that I found a way to unlock her magic with a Power Stone. The bad news is that it would take years to do so, since she wouldn't be able to handle so much of the destructive energy. At least I have a failsafe if Thanos does the smart thing and doesn't let one of his forces take the Mind Stone with him. The thing is, he wouldn't expect worthy opposition on this planet, except for the Asgardians that can be deployed against him. I doubt they have something good enough to obscure them from Heimdall's sight, seeing as the details of his abilities aren't known to people, just that he can supposedly see all in the 9 realms. The purple guy is more trouble than he is worth, to be honest. His lucky space is so vast, otherwise, I would have killed him to save myself greater trouble down the line. I sound like the MC from one of those shitty fix-it fanfics I stumbled on recently. They spend their reincarnation helping people they haven't met or know, just because they read a story about them. The fools aren't even helping random people, so they aren't exactly goody two-shoes. I believe this is just a sub-art of simping. I guess killing Thanos doesn't count, since the guy is trying to kill trillions, which I could be part of. I have my afterlife, so there is a chance that I won't have to worry, but that is only if the snap doesn't destroy their souls too, and unfortunately, I don't have a method to revive or fix destroyed souls. So let me get this straight, you are having problems dealing with ninjas fighting against your operations? I asked, amused. Yes. Why are you making it sound like it is absurd? Aren't you a magic-wielding alien warrior? Yelena replied. Oh, I believe you, my dear. I know of the people you speak of, I guess they don't appreciate us kicking them out. I am surprised you don't know of them, though. Just because I was a spy doesn't mean I knew every single thing. I can handle them just fine, it's just that I can't be everywhere. I will get more info on them before striking their leaders. Though it would be easier if you gave me the information. Let me teach you the art of Qi, you won't be able to master it in such a short time, but it will still be helpful. Oh, and love. Be sure to bring back the bodies. These guys have the annoying habit of just ignoring the rules of death. Interesting. She says so, but I can tell that she is dumbfounded by the piece of information. Don't worry about it too much. I could give you a weapon that would allow you to permanently kill them, but that wouldn't be any fun. As a consolation prize, I will start teaching you Qi right now. I can't decide if you are being a helpful or unhelpful person. She said with her lips thinned. Why can't I be both? I say with my most charming smile. I would like to think that my smile can cause any woman to instantly get drenched, but the fact that I give that smile after saying something rascal-like has caused a number of people to try and kick me in the balls. Which, in turn, caused a number of people to break their feet. Because I have extremely durable balls. I spent the rest of the day unlocking Yelena's Qi and proceeding to spar with her, while letting her get used to the basics of the power of her own life force. Phew, I almost got called on domestic charges, not that I couldn't use the holy art of bribing to get away with it. I love corruption. Afterwards, I leave on my way to Jotunheim. My stepmother has most likely given birth to my son, and I am going to collect him. Some might think it is a cruel move what I am going to do, and I'll admit it is, but frost giants don't really care about their children because of their culture. The strong rule, and the weak submit in Jotunheim, and I am sure my brothers are already killing each other for the crown. I was literally abandoned for months as a baby, and I refused to let my son be some pawn for another. Loki probably convinced himself that my mother slept with someone behind his back, because he can't even fathom a world where his son wasn't an 8-foot monstrosity. I calmly walked from where I teleported to the area where Loki lived. I didn't bother to disguise myself. I wanted to see the expression on their faces when they found out the great Loki cucked their king. I don't have to worry about retaliation since they were culled by Thor, and the rest by me on the fiery planet. Children, the ultimate blockers. I stopped counting after the 100th time Elsa interrupted my bedroom time with Hela or Elsa because she wanted to be cuddled in between us. Not that I minded, every man needs fluff in his life every now and then. I am cut from my musings by a frost giant guard trying to kill me. Easily evading the ice spear he threw at me. I counterattacked with my fist hitting his neck, decapitating him. You poor fool. All you had to do was ignore me and you could have lived. No matter, at least you won't ever be forgotten. Of course, I couldn't forget you unless I erased the memory with mind magic, and that would be too much trouble. You're really bad at conversation, you know, not even replying when a god decides to take time out of his day to converse with you. I continued as I killed everyone who tried to stop me. It was quite the fun activity. What do you want, Asgardian? My brother Helbindi says angrily and ready to fight, but I can sense fear from him as well. He had several frost giants with him. I don't see the other sons of Loki. They were weak and coveted something that they couldn't take. He says, interesting. So you are king now. King Helbindi. Yes. What do you want? Be quick with your answer or I will strike you down. I want your mother, I say and pause for dramatic effect and watch as he growls. To give me my son. Why would my mother have your son? Well, you see, when two people love each other very much, they hug and a couple months later, the woman or sometimes the man, pops out a baby. I explained to him as if he were a slow child, which caused him to become livid. Listen, I just want my child, your brother/nephew, and I will go. My mother would never cheat on my father, and even if she did, she would never lie with an Asgardian. I changed into the form that I was in the last time I was here. Miss me? I say and give my most charming grin, causing them to growl before attacking me. See, everyone just wants to hit me after I give my smile. One quick battle later and I am dragging a struggling but mostly uninjured Helbindi to his mother. The other frost giants weren't so lucky. His mother was sitting on a throne next to the main one, where the king is supposed to sit. There was a foot-long creature in her lap, and on closer inspection, I saw that it was a dragon. I was confused until I felt the connection that I shared with all my children, and I had to stop myself from gawking. Wow. I expected a lot of things, but definitely not that. Helbindi, you were so sure your mother didn't cheat, but here she has a dragon on her lap. I say amused. And Gerboda, I see you have taken care of my child. You. She says conflicted. I could understand. I was her previous lover and here I am dragging her child around like a child. I was in the form I was during our coupling, so she recognized me. I would like to reintroduce myself. I am Loki of Perfectum, and I am burdened with glorious purpose. I say as I revert to my original form. I would like my child back. If you give him peacefully, I won't kill the rest of your soldiers. After a bit of contemplation, she gives me an answer. Here, take the beast. I would appreciate it if you would leave immediately. Wow, she just gave my son away over the lives of a few dozen soldiers. I actually want to kill her for the disrespect she just showed to my son. Just goes to show I made the right decision in taking him. Telekinetic pulling my dragon boy to me. He didn't even resist since I have long since used blood magic to make my direct descendants loyal as well as comfortable with me. Thinking about a name, I decide on Dragok, meaning powerful. I don't even bother with the rest of the frost giants and just leave for Perfectum. They will probably suffer another civil war, since their people will hear how powerless they were before me. Where did you find a baby dragon? Jormungandr asks me. I was currently in a clearing on Perfectum, teaching my son, Dragok, to fly as well as figuring out his innate ability. Elsa's innate powers lean towards ice, and I can only compete against her in that area with an artifact or with my larger knowledge base. Jormungandr has his insane strength, but his innate ability is the poison magic he can use. Of course, being the son of a savant, they were forced to learn other types of magic. I don't desire one-trick pony children who get themselves killed because someone had a counter to their main ability. I made him. Well, I had some help. I replied. It was certainly an enjoyable activity. Artificially, or are you omitting the fact that you did the deed? I did the deed, I answer without an ounce of shame. Were you in dragon form or did you meet a dragoness? He asks curiously with a tinge of disbelief mixed in. You can't just ask your father about his intimate life. Have you no shame? And secondly, she was a frost giant, and no, I don't know why your brother turned out like a dragon, I say as I look at the now 2-foot-tall dragon. His name is Dragok, by the way. Either my stepmother gave birth to him recently or being in the presence of his father let him get a foot growth spurt, probably the former. Frost giants nor Asgardians don't do the whole 9-month stick, so it is usually a hit or miss on guessing when they will give birth. It can range from 2 to 6 months based on if the child is stronger than what the mother's uterus can handle, so I chose to get him after the max date. Dragok was black and had hints of purple along his wings and the rest of his body. I could sense power similar to the energy of the Power Stone. Of course, it was much weaker than the Power Stone, but he will certainly be powerful in the future. A shrunken but still 6-foot-long Jormungandr slithers towards the baby dragon. Nice to meet you, Dragok. The name is Jormungandr, also known as the greatest serpent to ever live. That was your father's word and not mine. Well, it is the truth. My children are the apex of their species, at least from what I have discovered in my millennia-long life. Dragok just looks curious and babbles as small purple flames come out of his mouth. So cute, I thought. It is a bit of a biased thought, but it is still the truth. He is cute, though. Elsa will certainly be happy to give away the position of being the baby of the family. He says. I feel like she is going to plead with me to give her a sister too. Sometimes I feel like the girl just threw away the button to mature. I say and ignore his pointed stare. I am extremely powerful. I can be hypocritical. I am not looking forward to her asking why I didn't tell her about the Dragok earlier. Why didn't you, though? Well, I wanted to cuckold my enemy and deceive him into raising my child for a while before taking back said child. That plan failed when I decided to just kill the bastard anyway. Who was he? Your grandfather, Loki. The nerve of the shitbag to leave me to die. Guess his intuition was shit or right, and he was just jealous that I could become a far better Jotun or king than he was. I am surprised you only killed him now. He did cause me to exist, so he at least did something right. Can you take care of your brother for a while? I am afraid Midgard is ready for a dragon of his caliber. I say as I leave. Caliber? I bet he isn't even a month old. Getting dumped in the position of the babysitter. This is Elsa all over again. He mutters as I leave. Don't complain so much, you're gaining experience for when you become a father too. That is probably what he will say if I try to complain. Yelena POV, ninjas with superpowers. How I ended up like this is beyond me. Ever since Loki freed me from the brainwashing, my life has been weirdly interesting. Well, more exciting than usual, and I was a spy. The superpowers I got sold me in my new situation already, and the fact that I can't trust anyone from my previous life didn't help me get used to this situation either. I was currently in a safe house in Hell's Kitchen with a bunch of mercenaries I have on retainer. Not the most trustworthy group since they can be bought over for more money. Luckily, my boss is rich. I am sure Loki's mere presence could intimidate them to stay loyal too, but he is choosing to be the shadow who guides my hand. I have gotten intel on the leader, Madame Gao, being in a base nearby. Loki has invisible drones, so intel gathering is easier than it used to be, just further supporting how terrifying my boss is. So we were properly preparing here before attacking the base. So what are we doing? A voice I recognized as familiar asked. I couldn't place my familiarity and didn't risk it, and we all aimed our weapons at the person. Whoa, calm down. I have an urge to facepalm at the now identified Elsa. Put your weapons down. She is not a threat. Well, she is, but not us at least. The rest lower their weapons at my words but are still on guard. I walk towards a private room and motion the blonde to follow. What are you doing here? I was bored, stressed, and needed something interesting to do. My mother is thinking about abdicating the throne to me, meaning I will have even more responsibilities. She speaks more sullenly than I have ever heard since we met. Wow, you didn't even tell me we were going on a secret mission. I am hurt. This time she sounded a bit more cheerful, and I knew she didn't really mean what she said. I know I can't dissuade you, so I won't even bother, so don't go and get yourself hurt. Please, dear. I am centuries old. If I allowed myself to be hurt by a bunch of people running around in pajamas, I would die of shame only to be resurrected by my father and be scolded and proceed to die of shame again. He can actually resurrect people? I asked, still a bit shocked but not openly revealing it. I don't know. Probably. No one has died that he would see a reason to resurrect if he could, so I am not sure, but since these humans can, I doubt he will let himself be beaten by humans. There is my grandfather, whom he could have resurrected, but he was never that close with him. Okay, stop trying to break my little bubble. I would rather do this mission without having an existential crisis, I say, and she just shrugs. Let's destroy the fools who are trying to damage your father's empire. Captain. Yelena POV, I have intel about Madame Gao and Nobu meeting at this location, and with Elsa, the hybrid god elf, I have a feeling I can handle it. Signaling the group, I make my way towards their location. We were at a safe house close by, so we didn't have to travel far. They were in a dojo that is actually used as a money laundering site. The place had several of the hands grunts, who were good on the scale of combat. Take out the lights, I say. Not even a second later my request is followed. Let's show these guys that pajamas don't make good armor, Elsa says, and I could feel the temperature lower considerably. We had a short minute opening before someone used a backup generator, so we immediately enter the building. We had night vision goggles, which means we had the high ground, and we started mowing down the grunts. The mercenaries I hired were just to distract the hand members while I went after Madame Gao and Nobu. With that thought in mind, I blitzed towards their location, only stopping to kill a ninja in my way. It took me a minute to arrive, and when I did, the lights finally got turned on by the emergency generator. I was joined by Elsa, who left a lot of them decapitated with the use of her ice blade. Quite a show you made, child. I am afraid I don't know the name of such an arrogant person like yourself. Says an old woman who my sources let me know is Madame Gao. Really, not knowing which business you are disrupting with your little ninja toys, and yet you call us arrogant. I guess the saying old age makes you wise isn't always true, Elsa mocks. Come, father said never to underestimate an enemy even if she looks like she is a breath away from death. So let's stop this villain speech before it starts. With that, I immediately go for Nobu and let Elsa deal with Gao. Poor Gao, I wouldn't want to be on the other end of Elsa. Nobu tries throwing shurikens at me, but intangibility makes it next to useless. When it is my time to attack, I don't waste time and simply loose my mag into his head. It was kind of underwhelming, but I am happy with the result. The granny was more vigorous than what I thought she would be. It's unfortunate that she went against my father. She would have made an excellent minion. Elsa says as she observes the decapitated head of her victim. I mean enemy. For such a cute girl, she can be quite vicious. Now we just have to make sure these guys aren't resurrected again. Loki POV, lacing my fingers through Elsa's silky golden locks. I sigh in contentment while she enjoys my lap pillow. So, I hear you plan on abdicating the throne to Elsa, I said. My heart goes out to her, wasting her days away with such a boring job. I ignore her pinching me. It is a fulfilling job, ruling and improving your people's lives. You wouldn't get it, you're too apathetic, and surprisingly enough, your ambitions don't lie in that direction. When I first met you, you tried so pitifully to seduce me, I thought you wanted to be king of Alfheim. Elsa says. If my seduction was so pitiful, why did I end up in your bed? Maybe I felt pity. She says with a teasing smirk. Funny. Though I wouldn't mind the company. Ella has gained an unhealthy video game addiction, so I won't mind someone talking about something different than video games at home. I don't know what those are, but if it stopped her from brooding, I am happy for her. She said, and we sat in silence for a moment. What really happened to your father? I would expect you to chase the assailants all over the universe. Hela killed him. I am not sad about it. I expected one or the other to kill each other when my relationship with Hela progressed. Peace was never an option. I see. She says she enjoys me playing with her hair more. I am going to miss my little icicle when she becomes queen. They grow up so fast. After my date with Elsa, I teleported back to my penthouse and sighed as I saw who sat in front of the computer at 8 a.m. She was playing my newly released God of War featuring Norse mythology. Who is Baldur? Hela asks as she sensed me enter. My mother considered having another child a few centuries ago and would have named him Baldur, but that hasn't come to pass. I decided to make the big bad my non-existent brother. The game isn't very accurate towards our history, so don't take it too seriously. I get it. You decided to make it more entertaining than accurate. Make sure to eat healthy. I would rather not have you become fat. Someone is planning to enact their plan for 50% universal genocide soon. Wow, you sure know some interesting people. Is there any reason why he has that goal? She asks. To save the universe, I say seriously, stopping myself from bursting out laughing. Hela doesn't share my sentiments and openly starts cackling, which causes me to join in too. I think I remember him now. Thanos, right? His name is basically compared to the devil on some of the worlds I have visited since you rescued me. Hela says. I sort of admire him. Working so hard for what, in his mind, is a noble goal, it's a shame it is bound to fail. I certainly admire staying alive, so excuse me if I immediately kill him. We could also keep him as a pet. I don't think he would be too bad of a butler. Thanos the butler. I can see it happening. I will join you on God of War. I will play Atreus. Why would you want to play the annoying brat? She asks. Simple, because he is me. I don't think I like being called the annoying brat though, although I was one in my youth. After enjoying a nice gaming session with Hela, I was greeted by Elsa and Yelena in my office. So did you complete my assigned mission? Yes, boss. The Russian said. It was fun. I made sure they wouldn't be able to resurrect. Elsa supplied. Good. Now you can go after the other hand leaders, I say. There is more. Why couldn't you have given me that info? Now they will most likely be on guard. Yelena bemoaned. I am raising the difficulty. Easy mode isn't very entertaining, I say. Wow. I had to deal with this guy all my life, so don't complain too much. Elsa said. I resent that. You know you love me, I say. Yes, but it doesn't change the fact that you are a bastard. She grumbles, just because my father killed my mother and threw me away doesn't mean I am a bastard. They were at least married, unlike your parents. Yeah, because my father is scared of responsibilities like marriage. While we bickered, poor Yelena didn't know how to react. It was cute actually. Too bad my philandering days have lessened. Nick Fury POV. New York is going to become a war zone after the other branch leaders hear what happened to this one. From the reports I got from forensics, it seems like a mutant or inhuman was mixed in the business. The temperature lowered so much that I was surprised they didn't just die of hypothermia. I loathe bastards who make my job more difficult. It certainly doesn't help that the board of directors is hounding me to acquire this powered individual. Hill, get Agent Romanoff here. It's time to figure out what the hell is happening in New York. Wanda, it has been 10 years since our parents died because of Tony Stark and the US military. Not only my own life but also my brother's was ruined because of them. To say I loathe them would be an understatement. My brother and I are 20 years old now and still haven't found a method to get our vengeance for our parents. We are both involved in protests and riots against the Americans who are invading our homeland, but we haven't made that much of an impact. Wanda, get the door, please. My brother Pietro calls out from the shower. Okay, I say as I make my way to the door. Looking through the peephole, I see no one. Which is weird, since I heard someone knocking on the door. Who was it? I hear my twin yell. Probably a bunch of kids messing around. I answer back as I make my way to the living room. I stop dead in my tracks as I see someone sitting casually on our couch. You aren't very vigilant, he says. He was in weird black, green and golden leather clothes. He looked like he belonged in the Renaissance. He was handsome and looked a few years older than me, Not that I let that distract me from the fact that he broke into our home. Who are you? I warily ask, looking around for an object I could use as a weapon. I spot a lamp that I plan to use in case he tries something. Is that really important? Why not ask why I am here? I feel that it spares us wasting much unneeded time and effort. Okay, why are you here? To give you the power to obtain what you strove your whole life to achieve. I hear you don't like Stark. I try not to snort. Do you usually break into houses and make promises of immense power? I am a bit skeptical about your proposal, and even if you aren't bullshitting, I see why you would give away this power. He just shrugs. You and your brother have potential, and the reason I am offering it is that I am in need of volunteers to test my method on. Of course, I have long since made sure it isn't fatal, so you don't have to worry about that. So you want to experiment on us. Usually, the people who offer such deals use a bit more intrigue than you. Darling, when you reach my level, you don't have to hide or lie to get what you want from mere mortals. Mortals. Do you have a god complex? I say, and I am surprised at how quickly I am at ease with a stranger who broke into my house. I don't believe so. I don't have inflated feelings about my personal abilities. Sure, I am amazing at most things I do, but I don't believe myself to be the best at everything. Right, I say awkwardly, not knowing how to deal with this situation. Should I call the police or tell him to leave? The guy is clearly delusional and can be a hazard towards himself or others. I have to go, love, but make sure to make up your mind, otherwise, there won't be a spot for you. He says and hands me what amounts to a business card that just says Loki with no other details. Before I could question him on the nonsense card, he disappeared before my eyes in bright light. My jaw hangs open at the casual display of what amounts to superpowers. Any evidence that I needed that the guy could accomplish what he said, he just showed. Loki, hee. I have tempted the Scarlet Witch. If Hydra could get her to do life-threatening experiments, then I don't see how she would refuse my better offer. I am going in this direction since I want her cooperation, since it would be stupid to turn her into an OP reality warper who would try to smite me because I forced her. Of course, I will not cancel my plans to steal her magic. Maybe I will do the same procedure I did with Yelena and give her the weakened version of her ability. Pietro has the latent supernatural ability for super speed. It's also magic, and I have to say those two hit the jackpot when it came to births. Getting super speed would have convinced me to meet the two, but adding the fact that I can also steal reality warping is enough that I would even consider genocide. A shame their parents are dead. They would have made for an excellent test subject. The business card will allow me to know when they are ready to accept my offer, and I will allow them to stew in their decisions for a few days before heading back. Now I will continue work on my game creations. It is honestly the most fun job to have. In my previous life, I considered just starting a games company, but I was more ambitious. I studied biology to create a method of immortality or a superpower for myself. Now I can finally do what I enjoy. I already finished the creation of Minecraft and God of War, and I am enjoying the money I gained from those two games. I am currently creating an excellent ripoff of GTA 5 with a name change since I don't want to buy the rights to the game. The characters and story will be different, but will still be a game about criminals and such. There is also an optional co-op mode for the story since games are better with friends most of the time. That is how I spent my time the last few days while waiting for Wanda. Of course, I spend time with my girls too. Unfortunately, Elsa decided to join Yelena on her mission of destroying the Hand. Feeling that Wanda is ready through my business card, I immediately teleport back to Sokovia. What awaited me were the panicking faces of the Wonder Twins as I suddenly appeared. So, have you accepted my proposal? I ask. Yes, but only if my brother can come with me, Wanda says, and I just nod. Stealing. I mean, indefinitely borrowing both of their powers is the plan after all. Good, I have arranged a place where we will conduct the experiments. Pietro. Right. Do you have things you want to say? I don't trust you, but I do trust my sister. If it weren't for the fact that there is a chance we could avenge our parents, I wouldn't allow this. He says in his Sokovian accent. I refrain from chuckling at his braveness. I would say something, but sometimes actions are better than words. Follow me, don't worry about packing. My facilities have everything you will ever need. I say as I open a portal to a private island that I personally created and warded.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.